takes over 200 workers to clear the deep, dense snow from the pass. There is no set date yet for the road to open. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The government is out with new numbers saying the trust fund used to pay Social Security benefits will run out of money in 2035. It's actually 1 year later than previously projected, thanks to a larger number of people who have jobs. Your money at this moment. Let's see what the markets are doing here. Everything in the green. The Dow is up 110. The S&P on the plus side by 16, and the NASDAQ up about 0.2% or 31 points. Coming up, how long will this precipitation last? We'll take a closer look at that forecast. KSL News Time now is 9:02. We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hey, have you saved more than $200,000 in an IRA or 401k? You may not realize it now, but you've got a big problem on your hands. And that problem is taxes. Because if you don't take advantage of some tax planning strategies now, Uncle Sam could take a big chunk of your hard-earned retirement savings. Learn how you could reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000, schedule your free tax strategy session now by calling 801-896-9622. Discover the tax planning strategies that could dramatically reduce your taxes in retirement. Call 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
With Soda Weight Loss, it's fun, easy, and exciting to knock out big fat loss numbers week after week. I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and I was feeling pretty impressed with myself. Then I heard from Chuck.
I let go of about 120 pounds in about 1 year.
Being overweight comes with a whole laundry list of side effects, and none of them are good.
There was times like putting on socks and shoes, you'd be a little winded bending down.
But now?
When people see me, they're just shocked. You know, they always ask you, like, what'd you do?
What makes Soda so effective is you have your own personal nutritionist to help you. You're trying to navigate the grocery store or figure out a menu? They're just a text away with real solutions to help you stay on track so you can let go of the weight at home, at work, or wherever you are. That accountability to another person makes all the difference.
These guys, I don't think I would have done it on my own if I didn't have their support.
So go to sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com and find out for yourself. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
My name is J.R. Bird. As mayor of Roosevelt, I increased transparency, led the charge to pass term limits, and kept taxes low. As your congressman, I will leverage my experience in the energy sector to champion energy independence and dominance. I'm determined to defend the unborn, secure our borders, uphold our Second Amendment rights, and bring the same level of transparency that we've upheld locally. I hope to earn your support.
Paid for by Bird for Congress.
Discover the best of senior living at Trio Orem and Trio South Ogden. Today's older adults aren't wrapping up their life's journey, they're seeking a new one. And Trio Independent Living is here to help them do just that. With a smart, modern, and connected lifestyle, residents cultivate relationships and maximize independence through signature programs like Prime Fit Wellness that bring living well and well-being to life. Welcome to the new age of senior living. Schedule your visit at leisurecare.com/Utah today.
All right, looking at the
time again for a look at traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. He's biting at the bit in there. Len, how are things?
Rev. Well, things are like they've been all day, really. We've got that crash eastbound I-80 on the ramp to the northbound I-215 exit ramp there, and that is closed. That's creating a slow wave in there. We have another crash that is westbound on the 201, about 1300 west on the right shoulder. Meanwhile, up in Weber County, we've had no problems all day up there, but now we have a crash crash. This is southbound I-15 in Ogden on the right shoulder, about 24th Street. And then heading up Parley's Canyon, it eased up quite a bit. Now it looks pretty snow-covered again. You got to crash down eastbound I-80 at the right shoulder, the Emigration exit, and that continues in the slow mode over to another one, eastbound I-80, 1 mile east of Lambs Canyon on the right shoulder. Save $70 instantly on Cooper Tires now through May 12th at your locally owned and operated Big O Tires. Plus, come in for all your service needs. Big O Tires, the team you trust. I'm Len Thomas, the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be another cloudy day. Rain and snow in the afternoon. Should be wrapping up overnight, though. 50 today, so we're not far off of that. But look at this for the weekend. 73 on Saturday, 77 on Sunday, maybe even 80 coming on Monday. So there is some hope. Right now, 43 from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
It appears the woman at the center of Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York is set to testify, or is currently testifying. We don't have a live feed, nobody does, into that courtroom just because cameras and audio recordings aren't allowed. However, we are going to take a deep dive into this threat from the judge to jail the former president if he doesn't keep his yapper shut.
Now, we can't hear it from the courtroom, but Stormy Daniels has told this story to every single person that will listen. So don't worry. That story is already out there if you want something nice and salacious. But you're right. The real problems from the Trump camp is the president he wants to talk and he keeps getting in trouble for talking. It's 9:07. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are the 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
One of the top stories we've been talking about this morning, Utah, number 1 in the nation. Best state. We won it. We won the number 1 top spot, according to U.S. News and World Report. But here's the Debbie Downer moment as I'm reviewing their report. They list that the median income in Utah is right around $40,000 a year. But then we have home prices, the median home price at about $520,000 a year. So is this, come on, is this a real survey? Come on, what in the world can U.S. News and World Report say that, $40,000 a year income and $519,000 homes? I'm just not seeing it. This sounds like a joke of a report to me.
It feels like they closed their eyes, they grabbed a dart, threw it against a dartboard, and they're like, that's how much Utahns make. Now, median income means half of people are making under $40,000 a year. There's no way that's the case, but I think they hit it right on the head as far as the home price, $519, dead on.
Countdown to
open season for IRS audits, so watch out. The Biden administration throwing an additional $80 billion to the Internal Revenue Service with the promise that anyone making under $400K a year won't be targeted. But Dave does not buy it.
Yeah, I think you should be nervous because the IRS track record is not good. They make these huge, empty promises. They say, hey, we're only going after the millionaires and the billionaires. But if you look back, as recently as 2022, you are 5.5 times more likely to be audited if you are low income versus a millionaire.
Launch countdown 1.
The Chicken Little of all government reports is once again released for Dave and I to chew on. There's a new Social Security Doomsday Report. That's our top story this morning. Here's my hot take. How about just a means test for Social Security? If you're rich, you don't get to collect Social Security. The U.S. is now home to 37% of the world's millionaires. We got more wealth in this country than we know what to do with. How about we change up the way we run this antiquated government program?
Because here's the problem. If I pay into something, I want to pay back. That's just the way it is. If I pay into it my entire life, the Social Security system, there's nothing wrong with me saying, you know what? I need to be able to cash out on that. It is a broken system, no question, and we are rapidly running out of money.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
So the report said something to the effect of we'll be out of money in the Social Security program by the year 2035. So it's like we get one extra year of breathing room. Big deal. So instead of holding on by one bobby pin, we're holding on by two. But I thought this was the better nugget in the report, Dave. It says by 2033, the Social Security Fund will have only enough money, so in 9 years, only enough money to fund 79% of benefits. So if we reverse that, what that means is a 21% cut in monthly payments.
So if you're making $2,000, chop off $400 a month.
We'll do the math.
That's incredible.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's a harsh reality that I cannot believe isn't panicking and driving every decision that is being made in Washington. Because how many people are on Social Security right now? About 80 million people? I mean, that's an incredible amount of people in America that is receiving benefits. Many, that's all they're getting. Like they didn't have a big fat pension or retirement savings. They are living off of Social Security. So to say, sorry, because we've completely and totally mismanaged Social Security for so many years, I've got to hit you with a 20% decrease in funds. That is devastating.
We've got some time to plan for that.
How many years?
9. But it's certainly detrimental. And I think this is one of the biggest head in the sand moments and has been for decades for folks in Congress and the White House. Just deal with it. The average monthly check right now was shockingly low, in my view. It's about $1,767 a month. I didn't realize it was that low. There, of course, it can go up a lot higher. It can get as high as $4,800 a month, kind of depending on when you take that check. But a lot of people desperately need the money now, so they take their Social Security check early. Now, that 21%, let's just do the math on that. It would reduce that $1,767 a month benefit to right around $1,400 a month. So basically, that's almost a $400 a month cut. That's your grocery budget. That's your gas and groceries. That's huge. If that's all you're relying on, that is huge.
Your medications.
Yeah. Probably doesn't even cover your medication, the way the medication cost goes. So we've got to here's the problem is we aren't popping out enough babies. There's fewer people in the workforce to fund the current number of retirees, and things aren't looking any better for the future.
It's the baby boomer generation. You're retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're retiring and a huge amount of wealth is following with you, you're not paying into taxes anymore. So it's just a draw. We are living longer than we ever have. I mean, how many people do you know that are well into their 80s or 90s? Our medicine has done a phenomenal job of giving people longer lives. So for every year that you tack on, that's another year of benefits from Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare. It's very expensive. These social programs that we established decades and decades ago are overly burdensome.
Yeah, it's a government pyramid scheme is what's ended up happening in this. I mean, it was probably a great plan in 1935 on the edge of the Great Depression. But right now it's a government pyramid scheme. We are not putting enough money into it to fund it. So there's some solutions,
By the way, that's the best description I've ever heard.
Thank you.
It's the best description I've ever heard, Debbie. It's the government pyramid scheme. Holy cow, it's my new bumper sticker. Well done. I'm going to give you $5 and trademark that.
I'm just going to take the rest of the week off.
That was a good one.
My job here is done.
Sorry. Not to derail you there, but that was a good line.
So to get out of this government pyramid scheme, we've got a couple of options. We can either raise our taxes, all of our taxes. We can reduce the benefits, right? We can just say, hey, 10% less for everybody. We can up the retirement age, maybe a year or two, depending on how old you are now. But I like my plan the best, a means test. A means test. Let's go at it next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, let me tell you, I've lost some weight. The reason I know this is because everyone says so. Like, man, how much weight have you lost? I lost 57 pounds in 60 days with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I decided to join this program because I cannot do it on my own. I realized that about myself. Unless I've got somebody holding my hand, walking me through the program, I can't lose the amount of weight that I wanted to lose. And Salt Lake City Fat Loss did it with an incredible program. They taught me how to lose weight safely and naturally. No surgery, no injections, no point counting, exercising, prepackaged meals, none of that stuff. They teach you habits that I feel I can keep the rest of my life. And guess what? I get to eat donuts every once in a while too. So don't worry about just never eating good food again. Go ahead, schedule a free consultation with Salt Lake City Fat Loss. The website's easy, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Just last week, KSL was live from Utah's Law Enforcement Memorial.
The suspect made a U-turn, deliberately targeting the officers.
Now, Officer Bill Hooser's name will be added.
Kids wore blue to school this morning.
People have been pulling over to leave flowers, American flags, cards, and other gifts.
What he liked most about his job, he said, making a difference.
In the line of duty.
We take solace knowing that Bill died a hero.
All this week on KSL News Radio.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Are you loving it?
I am absolutely loving it.
Okay, tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
She's almost speechless. So, Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience, how did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3-Day Bath, and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchenutah.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails with feedback from customers. Here's one. Dear Dan, I just had the best experience ever. I bought a computer from Shane at your State Street store. I asked several what I thought were really stupid questions. Shane was super courteous and made me feel comfortable through the whole process. People need to understand how important it is to support a local company, especially when your experience is so good. PC Laptops really does love me. Signed, Satisfied. I love hearing feedback like that. It really just gives me the chills. It's the whole reason why I got into the computer business in the first place. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop, and they start at only $29 a month. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. That means if anything goes wrong, we're going to take care of you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
Small business owners, we know tackling your to-do list can sometimes feel like going 12 rounds against a heavyweight champ. Except that heavyweight's gloves are made of something hard, like diamonds. So when a new to-do pops up, you're like, I can't. I'm boxing my diamond boxing glove-wearing heavyweight champ of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy with over 30 customizable coverage options, so you can finally land a knockout blow. See if you can save on business insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. You may have heard that mortgage rates have come down over the last several months. While they are still higher than a few years ago, the change has brought some opportunities. Some simple math can help determine whether a refinance will be beneficial to you even with a higher rate than you currently have. This can happen when you knock off enough other high-interest debt to lower your overall payments. We can go over this with you to see if it makes sense for your situation. We are currently saving many clients several $100s per month in payments using this strategy. And if you refinance using an FHA or VA loan, you will be eligible for a streamlined refinance when rates come down further. That's a win-win. Call us today to see if this would benefit you. Fink & McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Monster winds can cause huge damage to your roof that you can't see. Don't wait for a disaster. Go to the Masters at masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free windstorm assessment today.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, expect more rain throughout the valley today with wet roads and slick spots. Second, a high school student in law enforcement.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're talking about a new report out on the Social Security Administration's website. Right there at the top, it says by 2033, Social Security checks will be cut by 21%. So if you make, bringing in $1,700 a month or whatever the average is, it's about a $400 a month cut. I really want to thank my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Johannesson, right now, because she literally stood up in front of the entire class and said, don't count on Social Security. And most of us are like, what is that? It won't be around. So anybody who is 57 years old, was in 4th grade in whatever year that was, or younger, should not be relying on Social Security anyway.
I just looked up on the Social Security website. I don't wonder how many people have done this. You can log in, and it will tell you whether or not you qualify for Social Security and what you can expect if you take it out early, on time, or delayed.
Spoiler alert, you should be getting an annual statement from the Social Security Administration, and you should be absolutely looking at that. I get mine. They usually send it to me on Christmas Eve at like 11 p.m. It is the weirdest thing. I get my Google alert that I've got a new email from SSA.gov, and I always check it for a number of reasons. I want to make sure I haven't died and they haven't told me about it, or I haven't fallen off the face of the earth, or they haven't wiped out my benefits for some reason. But what did you find when you looked it up?
That I'm absolutely planning on Social Security. I'm like, in fact, my entire retirement, when I meet with my financial planner, he absolutely takes that into account. So if you reduce that by 20%, 21% in 9 years from now, that affects me.
Well, for you, it's for 2 people.
Yes.
Because your wife will be collecting it as well, right?
Yeah.
You have a 21% reduction for yours and a 21% reduction for hers.
Yeah, it just gave me mine. I hadn't thought about that. I need to get hers as well.
Maybe you need me to be your financial planner. Yeah, she's included in that equation, David.
But there's a couple things going on here, and folks, if you're joining us, we're talking about Social Security. Debbie had this great term, and it calls it the government pyramid scheme.
It is.
Which is, what did you mean by that?
Well, when Social Security was first formed, I want to say mid-1930s, there were a lot of people in the workforce, and there were few retirees because people were also kicking the bucket a lot younger. They were.
Jeez, Deb.
Well, you asked me what I meant.
All right.
This is one description you'll never forget. Well, let's flip it around, and that's where it becomes a pyramid scheme, where fewer workers in the workforce trying to fund, more people who are retired. So all that's happening is like this typical, it's almost like a Ponzi scheme, actually, where your son and your daughter are funding your pension. And then if
then
they
their
have
kids are funding them.
if
And then
they have kids. But, we're also experiencing a much lower birth rate. So it could be real trouble for them if there aren't enough babies born in the next couple of decades to continue this pyramid scheme approach to a government program.
So the Social Security website is very clear about this, and they've had this kind of data on there for years.
Right.
Years. They say, we are running out of money by the early 2030s. And because basically all this money that your grandparents and your parents have been paying into, that we've been paying into, it is a big nest egg, a ton of cash. Well, because the baby boomers are so plentiful, there's so many, they are draining the savings account.
Mm-hmm. They're living longer.
So now by 2033, they say we're basically going to be out of money, and we're going to be funding your benefits exclusively through tax dollars, not using tax dollars to supplement your payments, but exclusively with tax dollars.
So there's been a couple of ideas to fix it kicked around. Of course, Congress is, stuck in shoes of concrete, walking uphill, a very steep hill. I don't even know if they're going to get anything done about it. They're just going to let us all sit here and worry. To up the retirement age is one option. Early retirement right now for me would be about 62 years old. It was a significantly reduced benefit. I'm probably in the 67 years for full retirement. So, or you could raise taxes to collect more. You could permanently reduce monthly payments. So we know going in, maybe there's a cutoff that certain people are grandfathered in. I say for me, I'm willing to let's go with a means test. If you're rich through dumb luck, lucky investments, pensions, not everybody has a pension anymore, but if you're lucky enough to have a pension, or you just, you've had some awesome planning and a lot of help with a financial advisor along the way, you don't need Social Security. You don't need it. America is home to more millionaires, and that number has gone up like 35% in the last decade than anywhere in the entire world. Anywhere in the world. We are a country filled with wealth. And a lot of that is cash, or we have, $1 million in equity tied up in our homes. We have to get to a point where we just do away with the old model, take a stick of dynamite to it. It's antiquated. It has become a government pyramid scheme. Let's go with a means test. If you're uber wealthy, you don't need Social Security. You don't need a $1,700 a month check. You don't need a $5,000 a month check. You need nothing.
What qualifies as wealthy?
Oh, well,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
If I'm making over $1 million or $5 million a year, or is it $500,000? There's a lot of people that think that $250,000 would be considered wealthy.
We are in store for the largest transfer of generational wealth in history. Our parents are going to leave behind billions of dollars for inheritance. It's just it's out there. There's been so much written and talked about. It's out there. So as you need Social Security in when you're 62, but your parents leave you a windfall. So you no longer need it at 65 because you had no idea that mom and dad had squirreled away $20 million. Or even $3 million or $4 million. And it has to be a yearly means test. Because if you go off to Idaho and you hit the jackpot, the $1 billion jackpot, you don't need Social Security anymore. What do you think about those marbles, Dave?
I think there are some radical reforms. I have a hard time for saying, you know what, you just don't need it. Someone else needs it more. Because for every paycheck that you have worked from the age of 16, they're taking out 6% of that paycheck.
I don't even care.
To promise that you'd get it later in life.
I'm happy to gift the older generation that money.
You could do it right now. I mean, you could just, donate it back. I think at its core, though, if I pay into something, it's only fair that I get a return on it as it has been promised. Now, if you want to talk about some changes, how about this? We cap Social Security at $168,000, which means I'm only going to tax you 6% for Social Security up to $168,000. Anything above that, we're not going to take any more. So if you're making $1 million, you're only being taxed on $168,000 of that for Social Security. Yeah,
so because
and the reason they say that is because you're never going to get out of it what you pay into it. So I think we could adjust that number. Maybe $168,000 is too low. We could definitely raise that. I think not a lot of people would have heart attacks over that. So there are big changes we could make. I just don't like the idea of the government saying, Dave, you don't need it, so we're not going to give it to you, despite the fact that we promised it for years.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at our top stories this half hour. We're hearing from a high school student in a law enforcement internship program taught by fallen Santaquin Police Sergeant Bill Hooser. Spencer Peterson says Sergeant Hooser's death hit him like a freight train. He tells KSL TV because of Hooser, he's decided to pursue a career in law enforcement. Utah proving that it can sustain its increasing population. A study from the U.S. News and World Report ranking looked at over 70 metrics and thousands of data points to see which state best serves its residents. Utah came out on top. An American soldier is being detained in Russia. U.S. officials say that Army Staff Sergeant Gordon Black went to Russia on his own when he was charged with criminal misconduct. According to his mother, his son was in a relationship with a Russian woman whom he met while he was stationed in South Korea. Your money at this moment, everything in the green. The Dow is up another 82 points after the gains from yesterday. The S&P is up 14, and the NASDAQ is up this hour by about 29 points. Coming up, we'll check your traffic and weather together. KSL News Time 9:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Peyton was a very kind and giving person. At 15 years old, he sustained life-threatening injuries from a motorcycle accident that took his life. His family felt like Peyton would want to save others and made the decision to donate his organs. Because of their generosity, his organs saved a 2-year-old girl, a teenage boy, and others that were desperate in need of life-saving organs. Go to donorconnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old or not in good enough health to be a donor? Anyone can be a donor. If you were told that it could save the life for someone close to you, or even a stranger, would you donate? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope. Heal life. DonorConnect.life.
Time again for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Back to Len.
Well, we're looking at a traffic pattern that has improved greatly along the Wasatch Front from just a little while ago. I-15 working well from Spanish Fork to Ogden and in between. Belt routes are in good shape. I-80 is looking pretty good out to the lake and even up to Summit Park. There's some snow on the roadway up there, make no mistake of that. And then, of course, in the ski areas, you do have restrictions in place. In Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon, you got to have approved traction devices to get there. But the only slowing I'm seeing right now on the freeways is a little bit from the North Interchange toward Warm Springs Road in Rose Park. Revere Health encourages you to schedule your preventative care and annual checkups to help increase the potential to live your most healthy and active life. Revere Health, your partner in health, your partner in life. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, today's going to be another cloudy day, rain and snow in the afternoon. Should wrap up overnight with a high today of 50. There's still a 20% chance of more rain coming tomorrow. And right now in Salt Lake City, it is 43 degrees. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com to Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. The D2 Follow-Up Report. We stay connected to important stories to give you the latest.
Sergeant Bill Hooser, that is the name of the fallen officer killed in the line of duty on Sunday in the 6 o'clock hours of the morning on I-15. Allegedly by a guy driving a semi-truck. We're getting bits and pieces of new information, Dave, but we still don't have the full picture about what in the world happened. Now, it may take a couple of days. The county attorney there in Utah County has issued a statement saying as soon as, police file their reports with him, he'll consider, all appropriate charges. So we may be a few days before we learn more information, but we don't know how this initial call, who it came from. There was apparently some dude standing on the back of a semi-truck, and that's what prompted this whole stop to begin with. We don't know who that person is.
We're getting just bits and pieces of what may have happened. And as you said, so many gaps in this story, starting with the very initial 911 call where they say, hey, there's somebody riding on the back of this semi-truck. So that's what prompted this. And then the county attorney releases a statement, very vague, that says that the officers were trying to question the driver. Mm-hmm. Then at what point did the suspect take the semi-truck, drive northbound, make a U-turn on I-15
or the off-ramp,
and come back and then plow into the officer, killing him?
And we asked yesterday, was the sergeant in his patrol vehicle by then? Because I'm visualizing sort of the natural reaction is, and maybe this is because I've watched too many police dramas on television, would be you run back to your car and you jump in and then you either pursue or you don't pursue. Was he standing inside? Was he still outside the vehicle? Was he inside the patrol vehicle? We didn't get a real good answer from the Utah Highway Patrol on that. And remind you, they had a Utah Highway Patrol trooper on scene as well. He was the one who spotted, we did learn that, he was the one who spotted the truck, the semi-truck heading down I-15 that they'd gotten the call on. And then it sounded to me from the news conference they held yesterday updating this case that the sergeant then comes in from the Santa Quin area and provides backup, or he assists the Utah Highway Patrol trooper. But we still don't know if that trooper, I didn't get an impression one way or the other as to whether the trooper actually hey, there is a dude on the back of that truck. Right. So I don't know what happened to that part of the call, but we certainly can't just let that go, right? I mean, there has to be an answer to that at some point. And to your point, how did this situation go down once the driver makes the decision, allegedly, to take off in the semi-truck?
Well, and the semi-truck does not move quickly. It does not move quickly. It does not move easily. It's not like jumping on a motorcycle and instant acceleration. In a big semi-truck, acceleration is slow. So if he makes a run for it and then makes a turn, this is not subtle. And this is not fast. If you're making a U-turn on I-15 or on the off-ramp, whatever it might be, this is unfolding slowly.
I want to check in with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera because he covered the latest news conference, which happened yesterday afternoon after that amazing procession where police officers from all over escorted the body of a sergeant back to the Santaquin area.
According to Lieutenant Corey Slaymaker with Spanish Fork Police, the suspect was on the run in multiple locations following what he said was an intentional hit and attack at Sergeant Hooser.
The suspect fled on foot to a nearby convenience store where he stole another semi-truck. The suspect left the stolen semi in Mona, Utah. Multiple units responded, including SWAT units, in an attempt to locate the suspect.
Slaymaker said he then stole a Ford pickup and was spotted in Mount Pleasant, where he allegedly stole another vehicle. A high-speed chase ended in Vernal, where he was ultimately brought into custody.
Very odd, number one, that he's stealing semi-trucks. Like, it gives me the impression that he knows his way around a semi-truck if you're thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to steal. I don't know if it's because semi-trucks typically leave their vehicles running and you can just jump in and go. I don't know enough about how those work, but obviously he's comfortable enough that he can steal a semi-truck.
Yesterday we spent a significant part of the show breaking down the rap sheet of the suspect, and it's quite lengthy. It dates back, from what I could tell, to 2001, which would have put him maybe late teens, early 20s, and cops, mainly his victims. He clearly had it out for cops. It started in 2001 with resisting and obstructing. We had the case in Oregon in 2009 where he's convicted of assault on officers, tried to run them over with a vehicle. Mirrors what we saw here with one major exception, and that is those officers weren't killed. He was combative in jail, some 35 different behavioral violations in jail. Eventually, some 17 criminal charges are filed against him for some of those offenses. And then in Kansas, I mean, this guy gets all over the place. In Kansas, in 2012, there's a massive alert and hunt, a manhunt for him because he flees from police and takes off and initiates a high-speed pursuit. A warning goes out that this guy's known for not only high-speed pursuits, but breaking into homes. So he's been all kinds of terror all over the nation. Well, then I found this nugget. He also sue happy, Dave, when it comes to cops. So he actually won. The guy wins a $30,000. Well, he didn't win. There was a settlement with the county in California. His behavior was so bad in jail back, a dozen years ago or more, that they put him on what they called the loaf diet. The loaf diet. And he was the one and only jailbird who ended up on this loaf diet. And this is a concoction. It sounds like mom's meatloaf.
It's meatloaf, yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Some beef, baked in with carrots and tomato puree and beans. And he filed a lawsuit. Said he didn't get the bread and water that he was supposed to be served with it. And he was on this loaf diet for some 92 days. And the doggone loaf diet didn't work on this guy.
They were trying to figure out a way to get him to be compliant. Attacks on guards, on correctional officers, just general bad behavior. And they had said that they had tried everything to try to get him into compliance. And this is really a last resort, this quote-unquote loaf diet, the meatloaf diet. Instead of bread and water, it's meatloaf, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it sounds like. And anyway, he says that this is cruel and unusual punishment. He sues, and he gets $30,000 in a settlement.
Yeah, I'll be darned. He wins a $30,000 settlement. Says he's lost 23 pounds while he was on the loaf diet. I mean, who knew that would be so effective? But I think the best part of this article, as I'm reading it, is that they said he could not comment this week on the settlement that he'd won because he was currently serving a sentence on firearms charges in a federal prison in Florida. So that's my favorite part of this article, because what it does is it really paints the picture of who this guy is, how he has operated for the last couple of decades, and that he has truly, in my view, had it out for cops.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
I've got Adam Kirkham, president of the Utah Association of Realtors, here to talk about changes to the home buying process because of a national settlement. Adam, what does the settlement mean for Utah home buyers?
Dave, we don't know exactly how everything will play out, but we do expect to see some changes starting in July, which include the requirement that a buyer will need to sign a formal representation agreement with their realtor at the start of the home buying process.
What other changes should buyers expect?
Utah buyers will likely see, as a result of this settlement, some additional complexity to the negotiation process and paperwork.
I get a little nervous when you say added complexity, but maybe that is why it's so important to use a realtor.
Yeah, a realtor is there to help you navigate those complexities. Not just this change from the settlement, but what is the best price for a home, or what concessions and value. Your realtor will also help you manage all of this paperwork and negotiations so you don't have to do it on your own.
Well, thanks, Adam. You can learn more at utahrealtors.com.
Hello, I'm Case Lawrence, and I'm running for Congress. Our skyrocketing national debt is the greatest risk to the American dream. We can fix America's debt crisis, but not with politicians who are more worried about their next election than America's next generation. I'm not a politician. I'm a problem solver. I hope you'll join me. I'm Case Lawrence, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Case for Congress.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
AA MCO.
There's a lot to celebrate this month. Graduations, the end of the school year approaching, barbecues, and warm weather months ahead. Celebrate in a clean home by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Take advantage of Zero Res's flash sale today. $25 per room with a 4-room minimum. You know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk it with the other guys or go DIY with your carpet cleaning. It will end up soaked for days and actually do more damage than good. Keep the mud outside and not under your carpets. Just check out the 3,300 raving customer reviews online with a 4.8 Google rating. Schedule today and get one room Zero Resified, starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum. Make sure to mention KSL. Book with ease at ZeroRes.com or call 801-288-9376. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean. Zero Res.
Experience 4U banking today at your local Zions Bank branch or visit zionsbank.com/4U to learn more. A division of Zions Bank Corporation, N.A. member FDIC.
Warmer weather is here, and Skinny Utah would like to help you shape up for summer by losing 20 pounds or more in the next 40 days. That's right, at least 20 pounds, and as little as 40 days. That's the Skinny Utah 20-pound promise, where they customize every plan because no two bodies are alike. Their proven programs are 100% natural. There are never any prepackaged meals or shakes to buy, and never any dangerous shots, drugs, or hormones. At Skinny Utah, they teach you how to eat real food you buy at the store. Take the first step to a healthier new you. And schedule your free weight loss strategy session at skinnyutah.com. A $300 value. Absolutely free. Skinny Utah has offices in Centerville, Draper, and Orem. And they're extending their couple special, where the second person is half price. Schedule your free weight loss strategy session today at skinnyutah.com. That's skinnyutah.com. At Skinny Utah, you have nothing to lose but the weight.
We make getting your news so simple. All you got to do is text the word inbox to 57500, and we will send you for free the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter daily, right to your inbox. This is a team effort between the awesome reporters at KSL News Radio and the awesome journalists at KSL 5 TV. We team up every day to compile the 3 top stories that you need to know about. So text the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, BYU Pathway Worldwide has officially launched their 3-year bachelor's degree programs. The program gets rid of elective credits. Second, the government out with new numbers saying that the trust fund used to pay Social Security benefits will run out of money by 2035. And third, an American soldier is being detained in Russia after being charged with theft. We're going to look for a high today of just 50 degrees with all these clouds, and right now in Salt Lake City, it's 43. Let's get you back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I laughed out loud when I heard that U.S. News and World Report ranked Utah #1 best state. And I laughed even harder when I started looking at the data they used. I don't know how in the world they could come up with Utah as the #1 best state in the entire nation. When they listed on this report, our median income is just under $41,000 a year. Like, who in the world did the math on that at U.S. News and World Report? Now, some might argue, Dave, that it's more than. In fact, the U.S. Census Bureau puts it at $86,000 a year, which is a bright spot, certainly, compared to $40,000 a year.
I just looked in Salt Lake because the Housing and Urban Development, HUD, they track this across the country. So I just looked at it this morning. In Salt Lake City, the median income is $106,000.
Oh, okay.
So U.S. News, I'm not sure where you're pulling your data, but even that being the case, saying $41,000 is the median income, it's probably double that, at least double that. We still hit #1, Deb.
Mm-hmm.
We should take a victory lap.
Well, let's break down what they've highlighted in this report to give us the gold. And I also want to talk about things that I don't see. I see as deal breakers for me in the state of Utah on the horizon.
Why we're not #1.
Why we're not #1 in my mind. Very unpopular opinion.
Way unpopular.
Yeah, I won't come on the air and cheerlead for every single thing about Utah because I think we have some real deal breakers going on. And they're going to be a big issue for either people who want to move here because they see a great Instagram photo of Big Cottonwood Canyon, or for our future generations, my kids and your kids. We rank #9 in the nation when it comes to how we deal with crime and our prisons. What's your reaction?
That surprises me a little bit because maybe it's just where I live. I've never felt like crime is even an issue. I feel extremely safe. Maybe there are different pockets, maybe more urban centers where crime is a bigger deal. I know there's some hot spots around Salt Lake City, but I have not felt any crime. I would say crime is a zero on my list.
It's a huge crime is a huge eyeball roll for me, and I'll tell you why. When they start citing crime stats, because I think it's garbage in and garbage out. I mean, I don't know how the police departments are keeping their crime stats. I don't know if they're counting a bank robbery as a jaywalking. I'm not suggesting they're doing that, but I don't know how it's all broken down. I think crime is based on luck and opportunity. If you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, you live in a neighborhood that happens to be victimized by a lot of crime, then you feel like, crime is a big part of your life and you don't like it. If you live in K-Town like Dave does, where, the burglars haven't figured out that the town exists yet, then you're lucky.
One thing that does interest me about crime and corrections is it's one of the things that, as they were negotiating the new downtown revitalization with the new jazz arena or hockey arena, whatever it ends up being, is the state legislature quite honestly demanded of Salt Lake City that they crack down on some of the crime and make a larger focus. If they wanted to keep the jazz downtown, they were going to have to focus more on crime.
They ranked education in the U.S. News and World Report. We're number 2 in the nation for education. Congrats. That's shocking to me.
Which is kind of hilarious.
We used to be at the bottom of the pile.
Because we spend a fairly low amount for our WPU, the weighted pupil unit. Nationally, we're always at the bottom, but as far as results, it looks like education is one of the best in the nation.
Well, I think some of the things that we've done differently over the years are really changing the landscape of education. Vouchers. I know that's not how we refer to it because it doesn't sound good, but that's what it is, right? We're supplementing private school education. We have a lot of charter schools, which are still in the public school system, but they focus on specific areas like science. There was a charter school for kids who were interested in film and filmmaking. So we rank pretty high in education. That's the shocker for me because I know that for so many years we were at the bottom of the barrel for education. Infrastructure, I'm sorry, I don't care about that. I just don't care. They start ranking infrastructure. We're number 3 in the nation. Maybe I would care if I couldn't drive on the roads, but it's just like, to me, we should just have decent infrastructure. That shouldn't even be that should just be assumed.
Yeah, some of the infrastructure stuff just doesn't apply to us. We're not driving over rivers. We don't have a lot of bridges. Our big bridge is like an overpass. So much easier to maintain a high quality overpass than it is the Golden Gate Bridge.
So I just feel like when we get this ranking, what's never really included in it is all the kind of the ick stuff. You gonna move here? You better be prepared to slide in sideways to work 20 to 30 days out of the year, or not get, your car, your rear wheel drive car through a snowstorm. We never talk about that. We do get a lot of snow. We do a good job plowing the roads, but I think if you're moving here from a Sunbelt state, it is a wake-up call. That is what happened to me, and it's no joke. Other thing is the housing is out of control. The housing prices are out of control. $519,000 right now for a median home price in the state of Utah is ridiculous. We did a poor job of planning going back decades for the next generation, so now there's not enough starter homes. So I think people get a shock of their life. You get very little home for $500,000.
Because there's a lot of NIMBY in Utah. I don't know how it compares to the rest, but I have definitely felt it in my community. Every time we start talking about high-density housing, we come out of the woodworks. Everybody is against it. It's like, we need more housing, we need more affordable housing, but don't build in my neighborhood. Don't have that ugly apartment building go up here. So there's a lot of that NIMBYism that's going on. I think that has set us back years. We're starting to address it. We're doing a better job. We've made it a priority. Governor Cox said it's priority 1, 2, and 3 for him. But we're in a mess right now, no question.
Okay, so maybe I give Utah the silver, not the gold. Straight ahead, open season for IRS audits. Biden administration just threw an additional $80 billion to the IRS with the promise that anyone making under $400K a year will not be targeted. Dave just doesn't buy it. He's going to tell you why next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. Families in mourning after the death of their 19-year-old son in a bull riding accident. Roy and Megan Anderson of Eagle Mountain say their son Tate wanted to be a bull rider since he was little.
He loved to make people happy.
That kid could have been a kid for life.
Tate was stepped on by a bull Saturday night and died later at Utah Valley Hospital. There's a GoFundMe set up to help the family cover expenses. You can find that at ksltv.com. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Stormy Daniels, the adult film actress at the center of the hush money trial against former President Trump, has been on the witness stand this morning. Trump is accused of falsifying business records right before the 2016 presidential election to cover up a sexual encounter with Daniels. Trump denies any wrongdoing and denies that he was misleading in his records. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day 52 points, the NASDAQ up 41 right now. And our KSL weather, the rain is finally going to stop. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Odds are, if you have a 401k, it's set up with your payroll provider or an insurance company. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and if you're using your payroll provider or an insurance company for your 401k, the employer may be overpaying for the plan, the employees may have blasé investment options, and those blasé investment options may cost more than they should. Not with Trajan Wealth. Call us today, 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Services offered through a third-party partner. Utah roofs have over 30 potential leak points, requiring detailed inspections to prevent water damage. Experts advise regular checks, especially for roofs over 10 years without recent inspection. Avoid water mishaps with Master Roofing's repair and restoration services. For a free assessment and to extend your roof's life, don't wait for a disaster. Call the Masters at 801-383-0072 or visit masterroofingutah.com today.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow. Provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Just go to newnordicusa.com or visit Walgreens or Amazon to purchase. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at newnordicusa.com.
Advertising used to be simple. Your options were radio, TV, newspaper, and let's not forget the yellow pages. Now it seems like a tidal wave of options. Podcast, cable TV, streaming, OTT, CTV, audio networks, smart speakers.
On top of that, you need digital marketing for your website along with SEM, SEO, display, video, YouTube, email, and all the social media platforms.
Look, you're the expert in your business. Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert to market you? We are Bonneville Salt Lake, the local marketing and media company you know and trust. We reach customers across all digital and social platforms and have the reach of traditional advertising available as well. We find your customer anytime, any place, anywhere on any device here in Utah or anywhere in the world. We work to optimize your results with our in-house local team of experts, providing you with qualified leads, not just impressions. Contact Stephanie Palmer at KSL for a free consultation, including a complete digital audit with no obligation or cost to you. Email spalmer@ksl.com. That's spalmer@ksl.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Len Thomas.
We still have some wet roads as you're making your way up Parley's Canyon on I-80 up to Summit Park, but not like we had earlier with really snow blasting down there. That's looking a lot better. Also, I-15, one little short stretch of slowing. That is about 33rd south. Otherwise, I-15 is looking great all the way from Ogden to Spanish Fork. I-80 is great out to Lake Point or on to Wendover, and right now I-80 is the eastbound drive up to Echo Junction is in good shape as well. Celebrate spring in a clean home. Call Zero Res and get one room clean starting at just $25 with the 4-room minimum. Visit ZeroRes.com and book your appointment today. Zero Res. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
Scattered showers this afternoon with drier and warmer weather through the rest of the week. Highs will rise into the 70s by the weekend. And right now we're at 45 degrees. It's mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
The IRS has been injected with like $80 billion and promises that anybody making less than like $400,000 a year won't be subjected to increased audits. But Dave doesn't buy it. Why not?
I don't buy it because their track record has proven them wrong. They just announced, they said, and I was reading this article in Money Watch, and it says, IRS says its number of audits is about to surge. But when you look back in the history, just recent history too, 2022, Reason.com did a great job breaking this down. Says, because there was always this promise. This is not a brand new promise. This whole $400,000 and up promise. Yeah. And they found that you are 5.5 times more likely to be audited as a low-income earner than you are if you're a millionaire.
I believe it. I believe it because the wealthy among us have a lot of money to hire CPAs and attorneys. And the broke folks just go to the audit by themselves and hope for the best. They don't even, I think a lot of times don't even know what they're trying to, I don't think they have the proof. They don't know how to handle it, and they're just trying to do this on their own. So this is clearly a case of it's easier to go after the have-nots than it is to deal with the haves.
One of the things I think people are wondering is, well, what qualifies as low income or low and moderate income? Well, obviously, the Biden administration is saying $400,000 down, you're fine, don't worry about it. But for this group that is 5.5 times more likely to be audited, let me give you the numbers. This is what qualifies as a moderate income in Salt Lake City. A family of 4, very common here in Utah, is $85,000. If you're making $85,000, you are 5.5 times more likely to be audited than the millionaire.
So to me, this is about the fear factor. When you hear that the IRS is going to they got this $80 billion infusion, they're going to be able to add more auditors, and they probably don't have enough anyway because of retirements, attrition, people just get fed up and they leave. They don't want to have anything to do with the job anymore. It's boring, whatever. So what they do is they infuse it with a ton of money. They create all kinds of headlines. You're getting alerts that the IRS is now infused with an extra $80 billion. It's probably over the next several years. I don't know that we're going to drop $80 billion all at once on the IRS, but they're going to ramp up staff. And so now you freak out and you toe the line. That's what they're hoping the ripple effect of this is. But what you're saying is the reality is that the broke folks are the ones that end up paying the price for stuff like this.
Yes. And there's several things that are going on here. Now, this $80 billion, it's not just for auditors. It's to improve customer service, answer a few phone calls if you've ever tried to call the IRS.
And didn't we see a report? We talked about this about a year and a half ago where they were doing everything by like Pony Express and pen and paper, and paperwork is stored in like an old cafeteria. So it's an antiquated system. Yeah. I'm sure
they have to modernize.
This is probably,
no question.
I don't think this is hyperbole when I say they probably just came off of DOS, within the last decade or so. I mean, they may be even still working on it to convert, things to digital or whatever they're using now, AI. But, they get this $80 billion, or the announcement they're going to get $80 billion. And I'm just looking at this statistic, Dave, on this this Money Watch article. And it's just shocking how little money they're actually able to collect over the course of a year from even the wealthy. So, they get $80 billion. And it says the last tax season, which of course ended, April 15th, they beefed up enforcement, and it led to the collection of $520 million from wealthy taxpayers who hadn't filed their taxes or still owe money. So $520 million sounds like just a drop in the bucket.
We gather trillions of dollars in taxes. Trillions. And they brought out $500 million. Now, part of the reason that this whole IRS, the $80 billion got sent to the IRS is because there are numerous articles, Debbie, CBS, NBC, everybody has reported on this. And this is what they were pitching us. They said every year, here's the headline, Americans failed to pay a record $688 billion in taxes. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between $700 billion and $1 trillion. That was the claim that we are being cheated out of. So when we ramp things up, we increase the auditing. What did they gather? They were promising $1 trillion, and they got $500 million. That is such either a failure or just a gross exaggeration of how much money is not being paid in taxes.
It's an impossibility. You don't have enough IRS employees to keep up with all the tax dodgers, and the tax dodgers know that. The cheats know that. So they're playing the odds. They're just playing. I mean, when you go to Vegas, you're not going to win, but you still roll the dice or pull the lever, thinking there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. So you're just playing the odds, and Vegas knows that. And so they take all of your money, and then you go home broke. Well, the IRS is also playing those same odds. It's just a different game that they're playing.
One of the things that the Congressional Budget Office, who's nonpartisan, by the way, it's not Republican or Democrat, they say the new hires, new auditors at the IRS take about 3 years to ramp up. 3 years.
Oh, for sure. I could see that.
Because how incredibly difficult would it be to step in there? You're not getting a CPA with 30 years of experience that knows every in and out.
Well, just their systems alone, having worked for the federal government, are a brain drain. Just the systems alone. If you want to go inside, behind the scenes, you want the tea, it's a brain drain.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. You tend to make fun of lazy federal workers, not understand the process, the paperwork involved, what you have to track. It's literally like you're brain dead by the end of the day. So that alone could take a really long time to ramp up. The other thing is there's internal policies. There's also federal law that they have to learn. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you just don't get in there and give you a calculator and you start punching numbers out. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that the person who hasn't worked for the federal government doesn't see and know about.
So the problem with that is if I'm hiring a bunch of new auditors and it's going to take at least 3 years to ramp them up, what happens, and this is what they've found, is the agency starts taking the easiest and least time-consuming audits. It's the path of least resistance, which is why you get audited and your buddy gets audited. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, oh, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, we're going to jump in and fight against their team of lawyers and do an exhaustive audit. So that's what I fear, even though the promises are, we're not going to touch you. Don't worry. If you make under $400,000, we're not targeting you with audits. But what is really happening is we are getting targeted with audits.
I have an IRS audit. I'm going to call it a horror story. I'm just going to call it. Look, anytime you get that packet, that big manila envelope in the mail, and it says Treasury Department on it, it's not a joke. Your life is about to be turned upside down. And I thought I was alone until I started reading the comments on our KSL News Radio Facebook page about audit horror stories. So we posted this question earlier today. Have you ever been audited by the IRS? Share your audit horror story in the comments. And we have some people who are writing paragraphs. So you'll hear my story, you'll hear their stories, and then let's hear your stories. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Share your IRS audit horror story with us live next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
In a world where ugly siding, leaky gutters, and inefficient windows are sapping homeowners of their will to live, one company must save us all. This year, join RGS Exteriors as it embarks on a mission to eliminate outdated home exteriors, one Utah home at a time. Every plank of old, ugly siding must be replaced. Every leaky gutter must be eradicated. Every inefficient, energy-sapping window must be vanquished. Once and for all. Begin your epic remodeling quest by calling RGS Exteriors for a free estimate. Discover how a heroic team of experts will save your siding, gutters, or windows for a fair, no-nonsense price. Call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or journey online to rgsexteriors.com. RGS Exteriors, coming soon to a home near you.
When a Utah police officer leaves home each morning, there are no guarantees what they'll see and the dangers to their lives and livelihoods. This week, an officer left home like any other day and didn't return. KSL will offer complete coverage as Officer Bill Hooser's life is memorialized in the line of duty this week on KSL News Radio.
Looking for a secure retirement plan without market risk? Look no further. Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, specializes in no market risk retirement strategies with guarantees of principal, guaranteed growth, and lifelong income. Join Lyle right here each Saturday and Sunday for his Safe Money radio show and call him now at 855-355-SAFE for your complimentary customized Safe Money information kit and Safe Money book. Nothing but upside here at 855-355-SAFE.
Held over due to popular demand. This is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Mother's Day Made with Love by Olson's Greenhouse. Get design, inspiration, planting tips, and gift ideas for mom. Join KSL live with Olson's and the Greenhouse Show this Saturday, May 10th at the Sarasota Springs Home Depot.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
Jeff Kaplan here with Josh Moore from IWC Roofing. Josh, on our show yesterday, you made a very special offer for our listeners.
$2,000 off an entire roof purchase. It's by far the largest promo that we've ever ran in almost 30 years of business. And in addition to that, we can actually do financing. So not one or the other, but we can combine the two.
So you're going to keep it going an extra day, but why IWC Roofing?
The question is, why not IWC Roofing? We're the highest rated roofing contractor in the state. We've been in business for 30 years, and hands down, because of the volume that we do and this additional promo that we're running, we will get you the best value out there on a new roof purchase, guaranteed.
And they'll do your entire roof in one day. Get $2,000 off, but you have to call today. IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to iwcroofingutah.com. Thanks, Josh.
You bet. Thanks.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a family from Elk Ridge is mourning a son who died in a bull riding accident. Second, Stormy Daniels, the woman at the center of the hush money accusations against former President Trump, was on the witness stand this morning at his trial in New York. And third, Utah's governor is leading a challenge to federal authority over National Guard units. 45 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The IRS getting an infusion of some $80 billion has us wondering what your experience has been being audited. I want to go over a list of red flags for audits in just a moment. I'm going to tell my own audit horror story. And we've also asked you to call in as well, 801-575-TALK. So you don't buy, Dave, that this $80 billion of money that's going to go to the IRS will, only impact high-income earners.
Because that's the only ones we really care about, right? If you cheated the government out of $1,200, that's not going to move the needle, right? The government is saying we're looking for $1 trillion because that's what multiple reports have said out there, that there is somewhere between $700 billion and $1 trillion every single year in America of people that should be paying their taxes, but they're not. But what is proven to be the case is the IRS ends up taking the path of least resistance and auditing low-income earners, people making somewhere in the $85,000 and less category. In fact, you are 5.5 times more likely to be audited as a low and moderate income earner than you are if you're a millionaire.
And this is a trend that you've saw in a report from Reason.
Reason.com, yeah.
Reason.com.
Mm-hmm. And this was only going back to 2022. Syracuse University did some extensive research on this.
Okay.
And they found that you're 5.5 times more likely to be audited by the IRS if you're a low
if you're broke.
Income earner.
Yeah, if you're broke.
Yeah.
We're taking your live phone calls. Richard in Midvale, did you have an IRS horror story or did you have a delightful experience with the IRS?
Okay, so can you hear me?
You can.
Okay, good. So actually mine is more, I wouldn't say delightful. There's nothing delightful about being audited. My case was relatively involved. I bought and sold a house in the same year. Moving expenses. I had a Schedule A with all of that nonsense and then some investments with a Schedule B. So it was a pretty involved one.
Yeah.
I was notified of a random audit, and I think I spent about 20 minutes on the phone with them.
Oh, that's not bad.
Went through it, details with it. They went, oh, everything looks great. And that was it. It was absolutely
Richard,
no problems whatsoever.
I've never heard of a tele-audit before. I would have loved that to be our experience. So that's good. We'll give the IRS 1 point for that. Emily and Willard, what was your experience with the IRS? Did you get audited?
No, but I worked there for 10 years.
Oh, good.
And I hated every minute of it. But my granddaughter works there now, and this is how stupid the IRS is. They put her on a Spanish-speaking question line. So anybody that speaks Spanish has a question, but call her line. Well, she told them, she said, I don't even know how to say hello in Spanish. And they said, well, we're short-handed, so you'll just have to wing it. And that was it. And that's exactly how they operate. They're total idiots.
So okay, Emily, I've got to ask you: were they still on DOS, like the old school kind of green type when you worked there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And another thing, there was a lady that worked in our unit. Her name was Mary Jane, and every night, we worked swing shift together, and every single night when she would sign into her computer, it would come up marijuana. Well, they couldn't fix it, so they finally just made her sign in as marijuana. I mean, it's
autocorrect. It goes to autocorrect.
Okay.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Emily, thanks.
I want to just point out one of the red flags, ironically, for being audited for the IRS
marijuana.
is you own a marijuana business. So that is one, ironically, one of the red flags. Another one is you take out money from your 401 or your IRA kind of prematurely. That's another red flag. Another red flag is you just don't file. You're walking around with a target right on your back and your forehead. And the fourth one that I want to mention is rental properties, which is why we got scooped up in an IRS audit that went on for 3 months. And I lost all kinds of weight. I was scared to death, even though we didn't do anything wrong. I still felt like they were going to find something. I'll get into that more in just a moment. But Philip, hi, I want to get your phone call on as well. What's your IRS horror story?
Well, I went into audit when I was living in Michigan, had a sheaf of papers that I had taken with me, and when the agent saw me come in, he says, I've got to go through all those papers with you and take at least 15 minutes. He says, it looks like you got everything, or we can just stay here and visit for 15 minutes, whichever you want. I says, well, I'd just soon just visit. So he didn't look at any of my papers.
What did you talk about?
Oh, we talked about where we had each lived and what we'd done in our families. After 15 minutes, he said, all right, I've put in the time with you. You can go.
Philip sounds like they're running a pretty tight ship in the IRS Department of Michigan.
Can I ask you, were you nervous at all to walk in there?
I was at first, yeah, when I first got the letter that I had to come, but I had the papers to demonstrate what I thought I needed to, I don't think I was cheating or anything.
Yeah. But you'd feel, I don't know. Philip, thank you so much for your phone call. I don't know how you felt about it, but I just felt like when I get the packet in the mail saying that I was one of the lucky few to be audited, I felt nervous right away. I just went down the rabbit hole of they're going to find something, right? That's what they get paid to do. They're going to find something.
And what did they find?
Nothing. But what they would have seen if they would have had been a fly on the wall in my house is me running around for months, making sure I had all of the paperwork in order. They asked for things in the audit that I didn't. Like, I was just confused about what they were asking for, so I had to follow up and ask questions and make sure I was getting the right information. And this was all over our rental properties. We had 2 condominiums we were renting out. Worst decision we ever made. We're not landlords. We just weren't. We weren't good we were good landlords to our tenants. We were too good to them. Like, if you called them and said I couldn't make rent, I'd be like, how can I help supplement that? Yeah. If you said you wanted to put less down in terms of a deposit, I'd be like, no problem. You want to have 4 dogs in there? Great, go ahead. Please allow them to pee on the carpet while you're at it, which they did. So this is the kind of landlord I was. I was a wonderful landlord. The issue was that it was flagged because rental properties are flagged, and we came out perfectly clean on it, but we didn't find out for several weeks. It was about a 3-month-long process, and it's just 3 months of your life that you can't get back.
Do you think it scared you away from doing rental properties in the future?
100%.
Really?
100%. First of
all,
so
you sold it, got out of the business.
Right. Look, if you're thinking about somebody comes along and is like, you should move out of your house and you should rent it out. You should Airbnb it, or you should rent it out long term, and you should just go buy another home somewhere else. You have got to really research the misery that being a landlord creates in your life. First of all, you got other people in your life, right? You got somebody calling you in the middle of the night because the toilet won't flush. Or you get a management company and then they're fleecing you potentially because you don't know, who they're hiring or how much they're charging. And then on top of that, you subject yourself to an audit. And I did. I collect all of the wood chips when it comes to paperwork. I mean, you can go back through my stuff here in the newsroom and find I've collected things for the last 20 years. Yeah. And I keep it. But this is nothing that I would ever want to put myself in. And I didn't make a lot of money as a landlord. It was kind of became a joke. My time was more valuable than managing properties.
Which I think is in part what might scare folks when the IRS says we're going to increase the number of audits. It's going to surge because, sure, if you want to hit up Bill Gates, if you want to hit up Elon Musk, we're totally fine with that. But the history of the IRS has proven they come after Joe Schmo, Dave Noriega.
I just want to leave our listeners with this nugget on our KSL News Radio Facebook page. Allison said, I had to submit 114 pages of documents in order to prove my children, my marriage, my schooling, and my husband's schooling were real. It took a whole year for them to review everything and get us our return. They had to pay us interest on our return, which we then had to report as income the following year on taxes. I was 23 years old. That'll sour you for a lifetime.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. Governor Spencer Cox has signed a letter along with other governors from around the country speaking out against a Pentagon proposal to take members of their state's National Guard and add them to the Space Force.
Governor Spencer Cox says this Pentagon proposal would undermine a century of U.S. governors' authority as commanders-in-chief. Right now, governors have the final say about what happens with their state's Guard forces. On the other hand, Air Force General Secretary Frank Kendall says the effect on states would be negligible. There are actually no Utah-based space units of the National Guard, but some National Guard units are lining up with Governor Cox. One Colorado Brigadier General tells Defense One News that this is an existential threat to the Guard, and other leaders say they're not looking forward to dealing with a completely unfamiliar branch of the military. Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A new government report shows entitlement programs could run out of money in less than 10 years unless Congress acts now. The report showing that Social Security will be depleted in 2035, Medicare in 2036. Those deadlines, though, are actually later than previous forecasts. Former President Trump suggested he'd be open to making entitlement cuts. President Biden promising to keep Republicans from cutting those programs. Your money at this moment, the Dow and the NASDAQ, both running a little bit higher today. And our KSL weather, it's going to dry out finally. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
One of the things about Renaissance Ranch that I love is they understand the importance of teamwork. If you have a family member that is struggling with addiction, they want to get everybody involved, everyone, and create a support structure around that person.
I love their online classes. Those online classes are free. They're open to anybody. And like you said, Dave, if you've got a family member who's struggling with addiction, what you don't want to do is lose yourself trying to save them. These free online classes are key to giving you the tools that you need to get through it.
And they're very popular. More than 1,000 people attended last month. So they come from a personal perspective. The classes are offered for spouses, for parents. There's a women's support group, a couples recovery group, and they're all free. They're all online, and they're very easy to sign up for.
Renaissance Ranch is faith-based, clinically proven for more than 20 years.
Go to renaissanceranch.com to learn more. That's renaissanceranch.com.
It's first and goal at the 10-yard line with seconds left on the clock. Your running back is poised for a game-winning touchdown, but before you can make the snap, the opposing team just takes the ball and locks it inside a safe? Then they won't give you the combination unless you pay them $10,000? That's how ransomware works. And in 2021, 2 out of every 3 organizations fell victim to ransomware attacks. Protect your business with the Les Olson Security Suite from Les Olson IT. Learn more at lesolson.com.
When the weather warms up, it's like a stampede, except instead of dust stirred up by hundreds of hooves, it's a cascade of phone calls to Advanced Window Products. This is Jeff Kaplan. Soon as the sun shines and the snow's gone, people want new windows and frames from Utah's #1 custom window maker, and the wait for installation grows longer. But right now, you can get near the front of the line by calling for a quote and get $2,500 off when you purchase 10 windows or more. That's on top of the incredible savings for the highest quality double-pane windows and frames, any style, any color. See, at Advanced Window Products, they actually build the windows here in Utah, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. There's no middleman, and they can pass the savings on to you. They even offer buy now, pay later. So get in before the wait grows longer and get the $2,500 off. Get your new windows this spring. Make the call. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Lynn Thomas.
Well, Dan, it's still wet up in Parley's Canyon up there. And, of course, you have Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon have roadway restrictions. You have to have approved traction devices to get up there and go skiing. But it's pretty beautiful if you get up there. Otherwise, the sun is shining in West Valley. And I guess it's going to be drying out, as Dan's going to be telling us about here in a little bit. Otherwise, the freeways are looking great along the Wasatch Front. Spring has sprung, so it's time to shop IFA's Spring Flower Sale now through May 19th. Visit your local IFA or shop IFACountryStores.com. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see scattered showers this afternoon with drier and warmer weather through the rest of the week, and highs rise into the 70s by the weekend. And right now in Salt Lake, it's mostly cloudy with temperature 45 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Davidson in studio with us right now, the latest opinion piece that he dropped. Should Utah adopt a runoff system for crowded primaries? And the primary election that's on the horizon in June, there's several races that are pretty crowded.
We focus a lot on the general election. Like, that's where all the time, money, effort is spent. We're starting to change a little bit and realize how important the primaries are. Because, especially here in Utah, if you've got an R next to your name, you have a high likelihood of winning the general election. So you're really trying to figure out whoever comes out of the primary is likely going to win the general. So let's start focusing on the candidates that are coming out of the primary.
Jay, I just want to start at the place I feel like we should start with this is, a Republican shows up to vote at their polling place, or they're sitting down at their kitchen table at a primary. And in some of the races, they will see, 4 and 5 different candidates just for one race, correct?
Right. So everyone knows Mitt Romney is giving up his seat in the Senate. There are now 4 Republicans running in the primary to replace him. In the 3rd congressional district, John Curtis is giving up that seat so he can run for Senate. There are now 5 Republican candidates on the ballot for that seat.
Just one Senate seat, or for you're talking for the House seat?
For the House seat.
For the 5 just for Curtis's old House seat.
Yes.
Okay. And so what that ends up doing, you can pick, your favorite, right? You pick your favorite.
Well, you could conceivably, with 5 people, you conceivably win the race with 22% if it's close enough, right? And if it's 4, you would need somewhere in the upper 20s and 30s. Now, that may not happen. There may be somebody who runs away with it. But if we had a race where someone won with like 22%, would that be a legitimate winner?
If they got the most votes, they're the legitimate winner, because there is nothing in Utah code that says you have to have at least 50% of the votes.
That's right.
That's something that they do have in other states, like in Georgia. You have to have at least 50% of the vote.
It's interesting to me how few of those states there are. There are only 8 states that have, I should take that back. There are 10 states that have runoffs. 8 of those say you have to get at least 50% plus 1 to be the winner. North Carolina has an interesting one where if anybody wins with less than 30% of the vote, it triggers a runoff, which sounds kind of intriguing to me. But runoffs have problems because you're not really running the same election twice. Runoff elections tend to have a much lower turnout than the regular primary. And here we'd be running into a problem this year because the primary is on June 25th. If you were to do a runoff after that, when would it be? Late July, August? You would have vacations. You would have a lot of people missing that election. And so there's no real perfect answer to this.
Is there anything under consideration that you've been able to track down?
You know, it's been about 10 years now since Utah adopted the two-track system, so you can get on the ballot either through your convention or by getting enough signatures. And I remember early on people talking about this very issue. We had the governor's race in 2020 where there were 4 candidates and Spencer Cox emerged with 30-something% of the vote. I haven't heard that kind of talk lately at all. People seem to be fine with the way we have it. I wonder if that's going to change if someone emerges in one of these races with a small percentage.
How much heartburn does it give us, the focus group of 3 here, if we send somebody to the general election with 32% of the vote versus 50.1%? Like, does that really give you heartburn?
It doesn't feel very representative of all Republicans. And I don't think Democrats have the same issue. Sometimes they're fighting to get a candidate, right, for some of these, for some of their races.
They would love to have this
but so many Republicans living in Utah that it just, to me, it doesn't feel like that's very representative of the larger group.
It doesn't, but Americans have been accepting of this for a long time. We actually have had 19 presidents that got less than 50% of the popular vote.
Oh.
And Abraham Lincoln won his first election with 39.65%. So it's been going on for a long time, and people seem to be okay with it.
Can I say one of the? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think it's because we don't question it. You know, you've sat down and you're questioning this now, and now that I'm thinking about it, you know, is it okay that our current governor got out of the primary with 36% of the vote in that 4-way race? Well, if we just settled on this, then yes, but is that really representative of the vast majority of Republicans in this state? I think we tend to just do things out of habit. And because we've always done it that way. When you talk about Abraham Lincoln, I'm like, well, that's a really long time ago. Right. But we're still doing things the same way because, Jay, you're questioning it. Most of us don't question it.
We do have another option, and that is ranked choice voting, which is also known as the instant runoff. But our lawmakers have soured on that in the last couple of years, ever since Sarah Palin lost on the strength of second-place votes from her opponent. And Donald Trump came out and called it rank crap voting. Republicans are now opposed to it. And so we do have a pilot project here in Utah, but I'd be very surprised if that went anywhere.
I do think sometimes we overcomplicate it. And we try to put these arbitrary numbers and say, well, we'll be fine if they get 40% of the vote or 50.1% of the vote. Instead, whoever gets the most votes, that's who wins. And if there are 3 or 4 or 5 candidates, I actually think that's a good thing, especially in a primary. I look at it and say, too often we have binary choices, and we only have to choose between this person and that person, and we're afraid that, oh, well, if I take a chance on this person, then that guarantees a victory here. We're seeing it with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There was essentially no primary. They coasted through. But if we do say, you know what, maybe you only need to win 21% of the vote or 30% of the vote, that's an easier hurdle to climb, and maybe we don't always go with the safe choice.
I will agree that it is a sign of a healthy democracy that we have that many candidates. I think that's something we should be proud of. When you start drawing arbitrary lines, as you said, at 30%, 35%, well, who decides, and why is that a magic number?
Yeah.
We can all understand 50% plus 1 because that is a majority of the votes. Any other threshold, I think, is kind of arbitrary.
Jay, thank you for joining us. What's a jungle primary?
Jungle primary would be all comers run in the same race, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever you happen to be. And then the top 2 vote getters go on to a runoff. There are some states.
I'd be for that.
Wisconsin's talking about doing a final 5 where the top 5 move on and then they use ranked choice voting at the end. That sounds a little complicated.
No, this sounds fun. I'd be for that just to shake it up and see how, because could we do a pilot project on that here in this state? A jungle primary, that alone, I like the title. I like everything about this, Jay.
Well, We'll see. I
Yeah.
kind of doubt
think
that
it's-
our lawmakers would do it. But
I agree with you on that.
I think it's called the state school board. Some of those
Right.
nonpartisan races are a little bit of that jungle primary. Jay Evenson with the Deseret News opinion editor there. Thank you.
Straight ahead, former President Trump in trouble with the judge. He's threatened to jail him, throw him in jail, toss him in the clink if he doesn't keep his mouth shut under a gag order. Next, KSL legal analyst Greg Skort is joining the show. We're going to ask if that's just a veil. Do all judges make these threats? And does he see a path that he'd actually follow through with that? Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Master Electrical has upfront pricing. Now, if you're wondering, well, what in the world does upfront pricing means? Well, you've probably been bitten by those hourly bids where people come in and they say, oh, that's going to take me half a day to knock that thing out. And then 2-3 days later, they're still working on it. And then the invoice has nothing to do with the bid. Well, with upfront pricing with Master Electrical, they guarantee that you're going to pay what they bid.
You will never see an upcharge with Master Electrical. They've told us, we've met with them. Their pricing system simply will not allow it, which is great news for you because that means there are no surprises when you get the invoice.
Everything from lights, ceiling fans, smoke detectors, car chargers, you name it, everything that has to do with electrical, Master Electrical can take care of that for you.
And the news keeps getting better because they are always open. Especially for emergency services, because emergencies are never convenient. So give them a call today, 801-543-2222, 801-543-2222.
From Logan to Santaquin, check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers this Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Guys, are you ready to give up because you think you've tried everything and you're still dealing with loss of energy, poor sleep, weight gain, and even ED? Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City has local medical providers that offer low T and ED treatments customized to each patient's unique physical makeup. By working with a specialized compounding lab, personalized treatments are guaranteed, even when generic pills and supplements haven't worked. It all starts with your free comprehensive exam and consultation. Availability is limited. Book today, and for this month only, Revive offers qualified patients a free 1-month supply of personalized ED medication, plus a free ED treatment producing immediate results. The experts at Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will work to provide the right treatment for you so you can show up as the best you in all aspects of your life. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or send them a private message at revivemenshealth.com.
There's a lot to celebrate this month. Graduations, the end of the school year approaching, barbecues, and warm weather months ahead. Celebrate in a clean home by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Take advantage of Zero Res's flash sale today. $25 per room with a 4-room minimum. You know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk it with the other guys or go DIY with your carpet cleaning. It will end up soaked for days and actually do more damage than good. Keep the mud outside and not under your carpets. Just check out the 3,300 raving customer reviews online with a 4.8 Google rating. Schedule today and get 1 room Zero Resified, starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum. Make sure to mention KSL. Book with ease at zerores.com or call 801-288-9376. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean. Zero Res. Don't miss the 20th annual Soldier Hollow Sheepdog Classic presented by Purina Pro Plan. May 24th through 27th. 4 competitive days. Music, food, animals, and more. Visit soldierhollowclassic.com.
Are you willing to do something today that will change every tomorrow for the rest of your life? For me, that one thing that changed everything was the day I made the decision decision to begin my SOTA weight loss journey. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is state-of-the-art. I was so tired of being a spectator on the bench, out of the game, feeling tired and out of shape. But with my personal SOTA nutritionist, they help me break through bad habits and poor choices and build a better me for today and for the rest of my life. No fads, no potions. I let go of 37 pounds in 90 days. I'm 2.5 years into my journey, and I am still 37 pounds down, have never felt better. The results don't lie. The difference will surprise and amaze you. I always say that when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So start winning. Your healthy tomorrow starts today. Make the decision today that will change every day for the rest of your life. Check it out. State-of-the-art weight loss at SOTAweightloss.com.
One of the big stories we're, of course, covering this week is the fallen officer from Santaquin Police Department, and that is going to be one of our top stories throughout the week on the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. It's a free newsletter. We send it straight to your email every single day of the week. You can sign up for it. It's super easy to do so. 57, text the word inbox to 57500, inbox to 57500, and stay up to date on these really important stories like the one we're covering this week at KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomis. First, Governor Cox is head of the National Governors Association, and that's why he's challenging a Pentagon proposal to take over some National Guard units. Second, authorities in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, say they won't prosecute the man who shouted racial slurs at the U of U women's basketball team. Third, a new government report shows Social Security and Medicare running out of money in the next decade, but that forecast actually later than previous predictions. 45 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Give me a gag order and say you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day.
Yeah, the judge threatening to throw Trump in jail if he doesn't shut his yapper over the trial that's going on right now regarding hush money to Stormy Daniels.
He keeps talking about it. I think there's been 10 different occasions where he's been fined, like $1,000 each time. The judge is fining him $1,000, and he's a little bit fed up, and now he's threatening jail time.
Yeah, he's been saying all kinds of things on his social media platform, Truth Social. He's been talking about this is election interference. He's like, the trial is going like a speeding bullet. Rigged, crooked, and above all, without question, conflicted. It's a disgrace to our country. They've taken away my right to free speech. That's one of his posts. He's rushing this trial like crazy. Nobody's ever seen a thing go like this. The jury was picked so fast. 95% Democrats. And he says the area is mostly Democrat. You think of it as just a purely Democrat area. It's a very unfair situation, that I can tell you.
One of the things I wonder, and this is why I'm excited to talk to Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst, is why judges care so much about what is said outside of the courtroom. Because the jury is selected. The jury is essentially sequestered. They're not supposed to follow news stories and be tainted like that. The judge, kind of the same thing. Like, what do they care that President Trump is out there yapping and sharing his opinion on all of this?
I think that's a great point. As long as that applies to every single defendant in this country, I think defendants would be punished for far less. I think that this man has gotten away with so much stuff over the years that we kind of just tend to, brush it off. I don't pay any attention at all to Truth Social. I don't even have an account. I could care less. I think it's a ridiculously weak platform. It's lost a ton of users over the last couple of years. He made all kinds of money at the beginning of it when it launched and went public, but now, of course, the shares are down. I don't care about what he's posting or others are posting on Truth Social, but I think it's a joke that he is saying that the jury is picked so fast and it's 95% Democrat. First of all, your attorneys, sir, had every say in jury selection. Every say. They could have dismissed all of them, and we'd still be going through jury selection at this point. The second thing is with former President Trump, he lives, one of his several residences is in New York. It's in New York. He lives in New York, and he runs a business out of New York. Have you heard of some of these businesses? You got Trump Tower. So he's running his businesses out of New York, but then wants to flip the script when it's convenient for him, and wants to go after the jury for being Democrat. How do you know that anyway? Is that one of the questions that got asked? Let me ask Greg Skordas. Is that one of the questions that jurors get asked is, are you with the Green Party, the Tea Party, the Republican Party, or the Democratic Party?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's not the kind of thing you could ask or should ask. I mean, there are other questions that might help you discover that. Sometimes they'll ask jurors, what publications do you typically read? What is your source of news? And maybe you can figure out somebody's leanings from that. But no, who you voted for, what party you support, anything like that would be completely out of bounds. It is true, however, Debbie, as you know, that New York is largely a blue state. I mean, there are certainly Republican pockets there.
Well, then he shouldn't have done business there and lived there. I mean, maybe if he didn't do business there, he wouldn't be in trouble with a blue state. You know what I mean? Or in a blue state.
Right. I mean, it's just a state that has a lot of economy and a lot of money, and the kind of thing that would support an enterprise like the Trump Tower.
And obviously, you should feel safe in a blue state. You should feel safe in a red state. Whatever laws are out there, it should be executed or enforced equally, regardless of your political persuasion. But Greg, I do want to know, why are judges so sensitive to what is being said outside of their courtroom? Why do they care so much? Because I know the instructions to the jury is, hey, listen, once you leave, don't watch news, don't follow everything, just pay attention to what's going on here. Why do they care so much about what is said outside of their courtroom?
Because jurors can't do that, Dave. They can't avoid walking by a newsstand. They can't avoid listening to the radio on the way to work. They can't avoid those type of things that are going to give them some impression of what's going on with the case. I mean, we see that with the Chad Daybell case up in Idaho. We're doing everything we can to make sure the jurors are not watching the news, reading the paper, listening to the radio, or that type of thing before and after the trial each day. And it's a very hard thing to do, especially when a trial like the Trump case or the Chad Daybell case goes for weeks and weeks and weeks. The jurors are going to be exposed to some media that may or may not influence or sort of taint them in terms of what they're hearing.
Well, I think the big question everybody really is asking, though, is will the judge throw him in jail? If he violates again?
If it was you or me or anyone else in America, he would already be in jail. I mean, he's been held in contempt of court by this particular judge 10 times. That just doesn't happen. That never happens. This has to be one of the most patient judges in America. And frankly, it might feed into what Donald Trump is trying to do, to see if the judge would put him in jail. Maybe he becomes some sort of a martyr. But yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that the judge hasn't imposed that type of sanction yet, given the willful violation of the court orders that we see every day from this man.
And I think, listen, regardless of how much money you make or how powerful you are, how popular you are, you should have the law enforced equally across the board. So if they'd throw me in jail, I want them to throw President Trump in jail for the exact same violation. But Greg, again, let me just go back. Why is it, if jurors are going to hear news stories, they're going to listen to the radio, they're going to watch TV and be influenced by the commentators, because it's not just strike journalists, just the facts kind of stuff, why are you muzzling somebody that has, a vested interest in this, that may want to get their side of the story out?
Well, I think you just want to preserve the integrity of the proceeding itself, Dave. And I understand what you're saying. He has a First Amendment right. He can speak. He can talk. He can do what he wants. But during the course of a trial, we really do everything we can to just make sure that an individual is tried in a vacuum, that the jurors are not subject to outside influences, that witnesses who may be testifying later on are not subject to outside influence in terms of what other witnesses or what the defendant or anyone else has said. I mean, we try to do so much in America to preserve the integrity of a trial, and when someone is so blatantly trying to upset that, yeah, I mean, I can understand the frustration that the judge is having here, and I'm sure the prosecutors are feeling the same way.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us, KSL legal analyst. I did not expect to hear from you. This has got to be the most patient judge in America.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. All this rain and snow over the past few days has helped to make up for a below-average rainfall in April. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says northern Utah, depending on the area, has picked up 50 to 90% of the water we needed for all of May just the last few days. But Matt says we'll need more before the end of the month.
June, July, and August, we maybe do a half inch each of those months. So we don't expect much in the summer anyways. And so spring's kind of our last push for water.
Matt says a couple more good storms before June 1st should put us in good shape. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Stormy Daniels, the adult film actress at the center of the hush money trial against former President Trump, is on the witness stand today in New York. Trump is accused of falsifying business records right before the 2016 presidential election to cover up an alleged sexual encounter with Daniels. Daniels has been telling the jury about her upbringing and her career as an adult film star. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones Average and the NASDAQ, both trending up today. And our KSL weather looks like things are going to dry out and maybe warm up by the weekend. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
My name is J.R. Bird. As mayor of Roosevelt, I increased transparency, led the charge to pass term limits, and kept taxes low. As your congressman, I will leverage my experience in the energy sector to champion energy independence and dominance. I'm determined to defend the unborn, secure our borders, uphold our Second Amendment rights, and bring the same level of transparency that we've upheld locally. I hope to earn your support.
Paid for by Bird for Congress.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For a limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
Hello, Spring. This is your friend, Adventure. You've been on my mind, and I'm wondering where you've been. Weather's warming, and word on the street is you're looking for riders to enjoy Cedar City Brine Head's spectacular trails? Well, I'm told Three Peaks Recreation and Parawam's Evil Water Trail System are the bomb. Or perhaps you've changed. Maybe you're more into hiking? Kolob Canyon or Thor's Hammer Trail make a perfect meetup place. Oh, and don't forget Cedar City's spectacular views accompanied by disc golf at the Thunderbird Garden Course. Listen, I've always been here. I still like the same things, spring skiing, tubing, but I'm more mature now. My interests have expanded. There's Cedar City's Southern Utah Museum of Art, strolls downtown, fine dining or shopping. I'm more interesting than you know. Let's connect and rekindle our relationship starting in the spot we always enjoy. Cedar City Brine Head. Look me up at visitcedarcity.com. Your old friend, Adventure.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are looking at a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways. However, we do have a stalled vehicle in Murray. This is on the exit ramp from southbound I-15 at 4500 South, blocking a right lane. Celebrate spring in a clean home. Call Zero Res and get one room cleaned starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum. Visit ZeroRes.com and book your appointment today. Zero Res. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Scattered showers this afternoon with drier and warmer weather through the rest of the week. Highs will rise into the 70s by the weekend. Right now, 46 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Wasn't long ago that a woman from Park City, Utah was crowned Miss USA.
And now, Miss USA 2023
With the three things you need to know that
Utah!
Noelia Voigt won that title last fall-ish. So it was about 6 or 7 months, and then made what many considered to be a shocking announcement on Instagram that she is stepping down. And she's stepping down because she says it is what is best for her mental health.
And I look at that and I think, boy, that would have been such an incredible moment to win Miss USA. Obviously, that is an incredible accomplishment. But then you have to go to work. There is a lot that is demanded from you, your time, effort, and it felt like it was too much for her, and she stepped down.
I want to point out a little bit more about what she left. I mean, it's quite a statement. It's quite a lengthy statement, and I really appreciated her taking a stand for her mental health. But she says, I realize it may come as a large shock to many. Never compromise your physical and mental well-being. Our health is our wealth. I agree. I think, she's mid-20s. What foresight. What foresight to look in the mirror and say, this is just not working for me. I would not have had the guts to do that at that age. In fact, I was in a really, really bad mental health spot back then because I was working so many hours, trying to prove myself as a news reporter. It was never enough. This business does breed a lot of it's never enough. I was actually taught early on before I moved to Utah to take a reporter job at the previous station I worked at in Phoenix, which was a large market. They said every day I walked in, they said, remember, the mantra is, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately? Congratulations not only for her victory.
And now, Miss USA 2023 is Utah!
But I think more importantly, for standing up for what is right for you.
I think what is very difficult, and as I look at this, I think I can't imagine saying no or saying goodbye to a job like that because I think for me, a lot a lot of importance is put on my job, of having a job, of being proud of the job that I do. And I think I don't look at the bigger picture. I think too much of my job may define me. And I wonder how many people out there feel that way. Like, no, my job defines me. I don't care if it's not perfect. I don't care if it's rough on my mental health. I'm just going to plow ahead.
A third of women reported being burnt out in 2023, according to a Gallup survey. 25% of men said that burnout had an impact on what they're looking for in their next job. I think it comes down to this, Dave. I think it's what we don't want to admit it, and we also don't talk about it. I just spilled the beans on a time when I was extremely burnt out, but I kept going because, in large part, I'd committed so much effort to getting into the business and going to school, journalism school, graduating, getting my first job, and then getting my next job, and then my next job. I didn't want to admit that maybe, being in a helicopter in a snowstorm, flying to a plane crash, literally did that, was just not my forte. But instead, I continued to push through it. Maybe covering death and watching bodies come out of homes is not my forte. But I continued to do that because I was a news reporter. It was also never disclosed to me when I was going through the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism is the number of hours that this job would require. Now, you may say, well, my job requires a ton of hours too. It never stops. Especially when you're a general assignment reporter, when you're getting calls in the middle of the night to go cover a dumpster fire. Again, literally getting a call in the middle of the night to get out of bed and go cover what was a dumpster fire, okay? Fire burning inside a metal dumpster. And, working all the holidays and working weekends. I'm painting a miserable, picture of this job, but that is part of the reality of it. And when you're that exhausted and always trying to keep up with the competition or beat the competition and the expectations are so high, I applaud her for standing up and saying, this is just not working for my mental health.
And no job is worth putting yourself in a dangerous situation because it can absolutely spiral if you're in a bad situation, even if it's just for a few months and you start having dark thoughts. Absolutely. You've got to prioritize your health, your long-term well-being over any job. I get that. But at the same time, this is one of the most well-known jobs out there where so many people would just die for this opportunity to be able to represent the U.S. And you run these pageants and you've done them for years.
They worked on it for years to get there.
Yeah,
they've worked for so long for this recognition. But I want to talk more about the men's perspective on this. Do you think that the men you've known, have a hard time admitting, oh, I've hit burnout, I can't keep going?
Zero. I don't know a guy that we complain, right? We complain about it. But to actually say I'm quitting because of it's just too much of a drain on my mental health without being able to step directly into a job, I would never do that myself. No matter how dark of a situation is, I can't imagine a situation where I would say, listen, I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the backup plan is, but I'm just going to walk away without having something lined up because I think that would just be too much of a frightening.
So men don't get together on a call or get in a conference room and say, how is your mental health with this job?
No way.
No. What about at a pickleball game?
No.
Never admit it.
No, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of men out there who are suffering in silence. I think they are having heartburn with their job. They're not enjoying it, and their mental health is being compromised, but they're fighting through it. I just think it's if you don't know about somebody in your life who is having a problem, that's probably because you haven't asked them. You probably haven't asked your friends. You probably haven't admitted at times that your job isn't the best, most perfect job. You've been put in dangerous situations as a news photographer.
Yeah.
You've been called out at all hours of the night. Didn't you say you were driving the satellite truck like in the middle of the night one night and you almost fell asleep at the wheel?
Oh, yeah. But I don't think I'm alone. I just think that's jobs. There's not a job out there that isn't burdensome at some point. I've done some of the best jobs in the world, as a sports producer, go to the Olympics and Super Bowls. I've been a whitewater rafting guide. What I have learned, radio host is a fantastic job. One thing I've learned is every job ends up being a job. There are some good things about it, and there are some really hard things about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I just think, well, yeah, this is natural. This is no different than any other job out there. There's not a job out there that is all sunshine and rainbows.
Dave and I talking about Miss USA turning in her crown. She's from Park City, and she said for her mental well-being, mental health, she's decided that this is just not the right fit for her. And she said, time to write the next chapter. And I hope you'll stick around to see what's next. A Pew Research report shows that 40% of us connect our identity with our career and our employment. This is a really hard thing that she did. And she posted it on social media for everybody to see. And she posted a very, very long statement along with it. It wasn't a vague statement. It was very, very thorough and specific. But she said, enough is enough. And she's not quite through the year. But she's decided that her mental health is much more important than holding a crown.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio. I just elevated my checking account with Utah Community Credit Union. Tim, I'm so blown away at what I get with my elevated checking account at UCCU. I get so many benefits. I get cell phone protection and roadside assistance. The one that blows me away the most is telehealth. I actually get zero copay telehealth with my checking account from UCCU.
Did you know you also get a 0.25% loan discount? It's one of the many things. And if you like to travel or you're on the road quite a bit, a free ATM nationwide, 30,000 ATM locations that you can use while you're out.
Utah basketball star Walker Kessler and Utah Community Credit Union have come together to announce this brand new elevated checking account with more benefits, more savings, more online protections than ever before.
Yeah, there's even something for dark web monitoring, which I have never heard of before, but you can find out more by just going to uccu.com.
And open an elevated checking account online or stop by any branch.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Just last week, KSL was live from Utah's Law Enforcement Memorial.
The suspect made a U-turn, deliberately targeting the officers.
Now, Officer Bill Hooser's name will be added.
Kids wore blue to school this morning.
People have been pulling over to leave flowers, American flags, cards, and other gifts.
What he liked most about his job, he said, making a difference.
In the line of duty.
We take solace knowing that Bill died a hero.
All this week on KSL News Radio.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep Medical. But first, take the time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep Medical delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. Sound Sleep Medical will help. Call Sound Sleep Medical at 801-716-8672 for details. Sound Sleep Medical. Advertising used to be simple. Your options were radio, TV, newspaper, and let's not forget the yellow pages. Now it seems like a tidal wave of options. Podcast, cable TV, streaming, OTT, CTV, audio networks, smart speakers.
On top of that, you need digital marketing for your website along with SEM, SEO, display, video, YouTube, email, and all the social media platforms.
Look, you're the expert in your business. Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert to market you? We are Bonneville Salt Lake, the local marketing and media company you know and trust. We reach customers across all digital and social platforms and have the reach of traditional advertising available as well. We find your customer anytime, any place, anywhere on any device here in Utah or anywhere in the world. We work to optimize your results with our in-house local team of experts, providing you with qualified leads, not just impressions. Contact Stephanie Palmer at KSL for a free consultation, including a complete digital audit with no obligation or cost to you. Email spalmer@ksl.com. That's spalmer@ksl.com.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge super slippery banana peel mountain on my to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
One of the best ways to keep up on the best news stories is to get the newsletter, the KSL newsletter from KSL News Radio, KSL TV. We've teamed together. It's called the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. If you text the word inbox to 57500, you're going to get that in your inbox every single day. Go ahead, text the word inbox to 57500.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, April was pretty dry, but we've made up for it in just a few days in May. Second, Stormy Daniels has been on the witness stand in former President Trump's hush money trial. And third, Lori Vallow's niece testified today in Chet Daybell's murder trial, said she got different answers when she asked about Lori's children. 46 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Early this morning, President Biden said this regarding Hamas and Israel.
People are already forgetting that Hamas unleashed this terror. It was Hamas that brutalized Israelis. It was Hamas who took and continues to hold hostages. I have not forgotten, nor have you, and we will not forget.
That was President Biden earlier this morning at a Holocaust remembrance event.
In part, he has been forced to speak on some of these issues because of the rampant student protests that are happening across the country, even happening here in Utah, up at the University of Utah, where you've got pro-Palestinian protesters that are asking our higher institutions, the colleges, to divest from Israel. I'm not entirely certain what that even means, but these protests have become violent in some cases, where students have overtaken buildings on college campuses and had to be rooted out by police.
And in the last 24 hours, I was hopeful because I saw a lot of national news coverage that there was a ceasefire proposal, at least floated. But then I woke up this morning and I think my hopes were dashed. Robert Sherman with News Nation, give us an update on what you know about this ceasefire deal.
Yeah, so we just heard from the White House actually just a couple of minutes ago, and there's a new Israeli delegation that is in Cairo right now to have these talks to try and get something across the finish line here, because that deal that you mentioned that Hamas said that they agreed to, well, I mean, the only problem with that one is that was a deal that Israel never agreed to, and you need 2 parties in order to get a deal like this done. But that is the silver lining here is that Israel had not been sending delegations to have these conversations to try and get a ceasefire deal. Now they are, and they're having those conversations in Cairo right now, and the White House says that they have optimism that those gaps can be closed between Israel and Hamas. But, I mean, from the vantage point that we're sitting in, I mean, there's certainly a lot of questions of how those gaps will be closed because the main top-line issue is really the thing that is halting all of this, is that Hamas is looking for a deal that is going to lead to the end of the war and a total Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. And Prime Minister Netanyahu just a few minutes ago said he sent this delegation to Cairo with instructions to not bend on that issue. So how they bridge that gap, that remains to be seen. That's pretty much the whole ball game when it comes to getting a deal together.
Robert Sherman is with News Nation. And Robert, where are we at with the hostages? Obviously, some have been released over the last several months, but with the remaining hostages, do we know how many there are? Do we know their condition?
We really don't. Is a big part of the issue here is that we really don't know how many are alive, how many are not, the condition of many of these hostages. That we've seen Hamas putting out some propaganda footage in recent weeks showing that, yes, there are certainly some hostages who are alive, and a couple of them are Americans as well. But I mean, there's such this veil of uncertainty that a lot of these negotiators are going in with, which really complicates matters here as well. I would say, taking the temperature on the ground here, this is something that everybody talks about. I'm sitting here in downtown Tel Aviv, and you see these signs that say, bring them home now. People walk around with hats that say, let my people go. This dominates all levels of conversation in this country on a day-to-day basis here. But on the other hand, people just don't know what to expect. And frankly, day by day that goes by, optimism goes down a little bit more. We've been in this situation before where hopes have, hit an apex only to be dashed moments later. People are unfortunately starting to get used to that.
And Robert, just finally, before we let you go, they are negotiating with a terrorist organization here. That's got to factor in too, right?
Most certainly does, and there's this element here as well is that not only is Hamas a terrorist organization, but something else that complicates this is that Hamas has been very outspoken, about the fact that, October 7th, they're not sorry. And they said that they'd be prepared to do this again and again. That's what Hamas leadership said on Lebanese television, a few months ago. And pretty much everybody in Israel has heard that interview at this point. So that complicates things. You talk about, an end of the war and a ceasefire. The average Israeli does not buy that is realistic. They just think it's an end of the fighting until the next ceasefire is broken. I was here in Israel a year ago to the date in which a ceasefire was broken. There was a ceasefire broken in 2021. So you have these differing sentiments on the ground here. Some want any deal possible to get the hostages out. Others believe that this Rafah operation, which is currently in its early stages, needs to be carried on to its conclusion because they fear another October 7th is an inevitability if it doesn't end.
Robert Sherman, thank you for reporting from News Nation live from Tel Aviv.
Yeah, appreciate it. We do have a development on this story. It's coming to us from the New York Times. I'm just reading this right now. David just posted a short time ago saying that Hamas had informed negotiators that not all of the 33 hostages who would be freed in the first phase of a possible ceasefire deal with Israel are still living, and that the remains of those who have died would be among the initial releases. And that is from the New York Times, a reporter out of Washington, Peter Baker, saying that is according to two people familiar with the talks.
Wow. So they're saying of this negotiated remaining hostages, the 33 that they were planning on sending back, not all of them are alive?
That's what they're saying. Hamas informed negotiators that yesterday not all of the 33 hostages who would be freed in the first phase of a possible ceasefire deal, which we just heard from Robert there on the ground in Tel Aviv, has not been reached yet. But then not all of them are alive, and the remains of those who have died would be among the initial releases. He goes on to say the first group of hostages meant to be freed in the initial phase of the proposed agreement is supposed to include women, older men, the sick, the wounded, who are among more than 100 believed to still be held captive. And remember, this all began on October 7th. So it's been months since that music festival was invaded by Hamas terrorists, kidnapped. People were, taken kicking and screaming, hauled through the streets, and they have been victims of this, elaborate kidnapping scheme for months, which then, of course, turned into a war between Israel and Hamas.
7 months to the day, Debbie. and there's still over 100 hostages that are being held. And even the first negotiation, this first round, only releases about a third of these hostages. And to find out from the New York Times that of these released hostages, that there are going to be dead bodies that are being returned, that is going to escalate this fight, no question.
And so much has changed in the last month or so regarding the college campus protests. What I mean by that is for many months we didn't hear much across America from people vocalizing their concerns about what was going on. And in kind of what I thought was a twist, it ended up being that they were protesting Israel and the attacks on Gaza, and what is amounted to 34,000 deaths, which was not a twist that I saw coming in terms of America's protest response to this ongoing situation.
And as we were talking to Robert Sherman, he said Israelis do not trust a ceasefire, any ceasefire that is being brokered. He said, I was here when there was a ceasefire signed in 2021 that was broken. In 2020, it was broken. Time and time again, these ceasefires, these negotiations have been broken over and over and over again. And they've lost trust in it, which might explain why the Israelis are not so willing to negotiate with Hamas.
We'll continue to follow that story, but straight ahead, let's move on to some brighter news. Congratulations to former Jazz player Rudy Gobert. He just had a baby boy. So why is he being put on blast?
That's the baby, bro. It's going to be there when you get back. We hope. Right.
That's next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. New testimony in the Chad Daybell murder trial focuses on Daybell's description of Lori Vallow's kids. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobabe has the latest.
Lori Vallow's niece says she got close to both Lori and Chad in 2019, and when she moved to Rexburg, she received several different stories about where the two children, JJ and Tylee, were. She says Chad rated the two children as dark, and he would say that some people would become zombies if darkness overtook them.
An FBI agent also testified yesterday on finding JJ's remains. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The judge in former President Trump's hush money trial telling prosecutors the details of his alleged sexual encounter with adult film actress Stormy Daniels are just not that important. She's been on the witness stand today. The crime that he's accused of is falsifying business records detailing his payments to Daniels. Trump has denied any wrongdoing in that case. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average, the NASDAQ, both moving up today. And our KSL weather looks like things will dry out over the next couple of days. KSL News Time, 11:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
One of my jobs when I was growing up was when Mom went shopping, I would have to grab the bags of rock salt. They weigh about 40 or 50 pounds, and I would grab them, I'd take them into the house, and I would empty them into our water softener. One of the things that Connecticut water softeners took into account was, you know what, that's a little bit of back-breaking work. So instead of having a very tall salt bin, they've actually lowered it to, shin high, knee high, so you don't have to lift that 40, 50 pounds of salt to pour it into the water softener. And that just speaks to one of the many things they've taken into account when designing their water softener. Connecticut is so efficient, it uses 2/3 less salt than everybody else. That's in part why they can make a smaller salt bin. It works 24/7. There's no expensive electronics that you have to program or code. If the electricity goes out, you don't have to reset anything. You just get soft water 24/7. It's fantastic. 801-576-8600. Give them a call. Kinetico of Utah. They're an authorized Kinetico dealer. 801-576-8600 or online at softwaterutah.com.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
When the weather warms up, it's like a stampede, except instead of dust stirred up by hundreds of hooves, it's a cascade of phone calls to Advanced Window Products. This is Jeff Kaplan. Soon as the sun shines and the snow's gone, people want new windows and frames from Utah's #1 custom window maker, and the wait for installation grows longer. But right now, you can get near the front of the line by calling for a quote and get $2,500 off when you purchase 10 windows or more. That's on top of the incredible savings for the highest quality double-pane windows and frames, any style, any color. See, at Advanced Window Products, they actually build the windows here in Utah, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. There's no middleman, and they can pass the savings on to you. They even offer buy now, pay later. So get in before the wait grows longer and get the $2,500 off. Get your new windows this spring. Make the call. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We are looking at a crash-free commute on the Valley freeways. We have had a little bit of busy traffic eastbound on the 21st South Freeway between Bangor and the West Belt. Also, restrictions have been lifted for Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. However, in the upper portion of each canyon, you still may see some snowy and slushy road conditions. The best kept secret is this is the pass. It's a pass for fun for everyone. Save $20 off every annual pass level. 362 days of fun. Visit thisisthepass.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Scattered showers this afternoon with drier and warmer weather through the rest of the week. Highs rise into the 70s by the weekend. And right now, 48 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Former Jazzman Rudy Gobert missing a playoff game because now he plays for the Timberwolves because of the birth of his son. And some NBA players criticizing him for it.
That's the baby, bro. It's going to be there when you get back. We hope. Right. I mean, I'm just saying, the baby going to be
okay, but unnecessary.
The baby going to, it don't know, whatever you about to think you about to do with the baby, he going to be asleep. Like, I get you want to be with your wife and smile and stuff, and your good NBA healthcare insurance.
Right.
It's because of you playing.
That was Gilbert Arenas. Used to play for a number of years in the NBA. Was a great player. Was really good. He's got 4 children of his own, and he's criticizing Rudy for saying, you know what? Basketball, even playoff basketball, is not the most important thing in my life. I'm going to be there. This is Rudy's first son, first child.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're right. Goodness. It doesn't matter.
Sorry, if it's child 3, your daddy can't be there. Stop.
So he decides, and this was a huge game. This was a very big game last night. In fact, I didn't realize that he wasn't going to be there. I pull up the box score. I'm like, where's Rudy? What's going on? So I had to Google and figure out where Rudy was, and it was, he's with his girlfriend, his fiance, and they're having a baby.
Good for
so,
them.
of course, he's not going to be there.
Congratulations on the birth of your son. They have certainly set off a firestorm on social media.
Some stuff is bigger than basketball. Congratulations to Rudy Gobert. This is the biggest moment of your life. Don't mess this up. You've got to be physically present, not only for the birth of this kid, but I've heard from a lot of parents that the 12 to 16 hours immediately following a child's birth are the most important. Not only for the parents to soak in
12 to 16 years actually is what he meant to say. Following the birth of a child is the most formidable and important. Look, a woman does not have this option. We don't have the option of missing the child's birth. We have to be there for every single one. So what makes anybody in the NBA world think that it's optional for dad to miss it? That's weird to me. That's just a weird take. It's also not realistic because, what if something goes wrong on the birthing table?
Which is rare, but it does happen.
Okay, Mr. Context. It doesn't matter if it's rare or not. You don't play the odds when you're delivering a baby. You need everybody to be all in and available. If they have to make some last-minute decisions. I went in for gallbladder surgery. And the doctors wanted to know, okay, where's your spouse going to be? He's going to be in the waiting room. Well, why do they want him there for? He was there at the birth of all of our children, of course. Why would there's ever a question for that? But the gallbladder surgery could have been seen as optional. Why do they want? Because if something goes south on the surgery table, they need somebody there to make the decision. It is wild to me that this is even being debated. There's nothing more important than the birth of your child. It doesn't matter what birth order we're talking about. All your new kiddos are just as important as the one that's previous. What do you think?
I agree with you. Let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here because I can't go against you with anything you said. I'm 100% Team Rudy, missed the game. You and I can't really understand this. You and I are also not making more than $40 million a year for this very game.
This is exactly the problem with society. We put a number on everything.
But you're getting paid, again, this is devil's advocate, but I think the argument is we are paying you an obscene amount of money. And the only thing that matters is how we do in the playoffs. You are a crucial part of this team where we've made a huge investment. So we're gonna require you to show up. Does it change at all?
No.
Because
you're putting some sort of level of importance in fatherhood based on his salary.
But this is a $1 billion business.
So when he's done with the business in a few years, because there's a shelf life, right, on most of these athletes' careers, and they're looking through baby photos in 15 years, or, going back through baby photos, and daddy's not there. What kind of legacy or message does that send your child? Daddy's so important. He wasn't at war. He wasn't the one with the nuclear codes. He was the only person that could do this job. We needed him there for a couple of free throws. So we gave Daddy a pass. I just think it's a wrong message to send your child.
I think there's a lot of people out there that miss the birth of their child for a million different reasons. Sometimes it's because it was unexpected and they were working out of state, out of town, or doing something like that. He's right. Like, the kid's not going to remember. Your significant other will definitely remember that you weren't there.
Photoshop him into the photos to make it seem like he was there, and then proliferate the lie for the child's entire life.
To me,
you weren't there.
It's true. It's far more important to me the kind of father you are the rest of the child's life versus are you there for the very moment? Yeah, that's important. And some couples value that more than others. But you could still be a good father and miss out on your child's birth.
I think the only way you get a hall pass is if you're literally in the military and you're stationed overseas. If that's the only way you get a hall pass. I think we want to make excuses for this. It's interesting because, we always talk about how important it is to have children and how important it is for the cycle of life, and the birth rate is falling and we need to have kids. But boy, when there's an NBA star having a child, he should put his career first and his significant other, who's the one going through the labor, and his newborn baby second. I'm going to tell you some of the things that went wrong on the birthing table for me, because I just really want to belabor this topic. We had an umbilical cord wrap where we had problems during the delivery. I had 14 hours straight of labor where I just could not get, ramp up enough labor pains to start, pushing our first child out. There were all kinds of things that were going wrong. I had an epidural at one point during one of the birth of our child. It was our last child. I finally decided to give in early on to epidurals because it sounded better than 14 hours of labor, and my face started to go numb. So they had to readjust what was going on because now we've got a problem, right? The epidural is supposed to go down, not up. These are all the things that can go sideways during the birth of a child. So when you want to cite statistics, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So I don't know statistically how much, goes wrong with an epidural or how much goes wrong with, cord wraps. But there's no place on earth I would have rather have been, and I didn't have a choice to be. And I hope that their father would say the same thing. He would rather be there than hitting a couple of free throws with his buddies. How do you like that, Dave?
Like I said, I was 100% with you. I was trying to play devil's advocate because I see a little bit of it. I understand the temptation on some level. I don't agree with it, but I love it. What we do know, Rudy, Mama, child, everybody's healthy. They're doing great. And the Timberwolves won without Rudy there, so all is good, folks.
I think what's most important is this.
Now, hear me out. You got 16 games you have to win a championship, but you only get your child's first birth one time. So what y'all think? Is he tripping? I ain't got no kids, so I'm not going to weigh in on this one.
Yeah, well, I've got 3 of them, and I'm sure glad their daddy was there when each one of them came into this world. Straight ahead, we've got some developments on the NHL in Utah, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. I want to know, do we have a plan yet for downtown Salt Lake City? Do we have a plan yet? We'll be getting to the bottom of this next with KSL Hockey Insider Jay Stevens.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
There's a lot to celebrate this month. Graduations, the end of the school year approaching, barbecues, and warm weather months ahead. Celebrate in a clean home by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res. Take advantage of Zero Res's flash sale today. $25 per room with a 4-room minimum. You know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk it with the other guys or go DIY with your carpet cleaning. It will end up soaked for days and actually do more damage than good. Keep the mud outside and not under your carpets. Just check out the 3,300 raving customer reviews online with a 4.8 Google rating. Schedule today and get one room Zero Resified, starting at just $25 with a 4-room minimum. Make sure to mention KSL. Book with ease at ZeroRes.com or call 801-288-9376. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean. Zero Res.
Everyone's house is different, but they're all the same in one way. We've all got those places where the Wi-Fi just won't go. For you, maybe it's the attic. For me, it's my basement. Well, if you had wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity, you could worry less about these dead spots. Finally. With wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity, you get fast speeds throughout your home, reliable connection in every room, and power for all of your devices, even when everyone is online. That's wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through June 21st, new customers can get started with gig speed internet for $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract and free Wi-Fi equipment included when you add unlimited mobile. $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com. Call 1-800-XFINITY. That's 1-800-XFINITY. Or visit a store today.
Are you stressing about your IRS tax problems? Have you received notices from the IRS threatening to garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, or seize your property? You need an ally. Allies Tax Relief has tax attorneys and enrolled agents that are ready to fight for you. They have saved millions for taxpayers just like you. Allies Tax Relief can help put a stop to IRS collections and, most importantly, negotiate your tax debt. Here's Brenda, a happy client of Allies Tax Relief.
I owed the IRS around $57,000, and they're about to start garnishing my paychecks. I heard a commercial on the radio about Allies Tax Relief, so I thought I'd give them a call. After a day, they were able to at least stop the garnishments, and after a few months of negotiations, I walked away owing the IRS only $301.
If you owe the IRS, call Allies Tax Relief right now for your free consultation. Call 800-230-5174. 800-230-5174. That's 800-230-5174.
Looking for a secure retirement plan without market risk? Look no further. Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, specializes in no market risk retirement strategies with guarantees of principal, guaranteed growth, and lifelong income. Join Lyle right here each Saturday and Sunday for his Safe Money radio show, and call him now at 855-355-SAFE for your complimentary customized Safe Money information kit and Safe Money book. Nothing but upside here at 855-355-SAFE.
Here's an easy tip from Jordan Valley Water to know when it's time to water your lawn. If you can easily push a 6-inch screwdriver into your soil, you don't need to water yet. For more tips, visit waytowater.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Who Lives is a nonprofit organization with a goal described by the acronym WHO, providing clean water, better health, and economic opportunities to all people while prioritizing sustainability and self-reliance. Founder and executive director John Runard joins us with more.
So in 2010, I was on vacation in Africa when I saw these young girls missing school because they were forced to walk miles to fetch water for their families. I knew I had to do something. So I created the nonprofit Who Lives. For 10 months, I worked with local engineering students to create a human-powered water drill. Our village drill has now completed nearly 15,000 wells worldwide, empowering over 14 million people. Today, Who Lives is excited about our newest innovation, the Village Drill Hybrid, an electric drill that's even stronger and drills faster. But we now have way more requests for water than we have funds. So Who Lives is looking for businesses and even individuals to join with us to make a difference. So please consider making a donation or join us in Africa for an epic experience and safari. Again, we would love for you to get involved with our mission. Just visit us at wholives.org. That's wholives.org.
Just last year, Who Lives was honored with the Hunger and Poverty Award at the .org Impact Award ceremony for their innovative community solutions. Learn more or donate to support their cause at their website. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Get the top news of the day straight to your email by subscribing to the KSL 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. We've teamed up with KSL TV here at KSL News Radio, and we've given you the best top stories of the day. Get the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter by texting the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, yesterday's testimony in the Chad Daybell murder trial included a relative of Lori Vallows who was asking where her children were. Second, the judge in former President Trump's hush money trial says the details of Trump's alleged encounter with Stormy Daniels really aren't that important. And third, pelicans making a comeback on an island in the Great Salt Lake. 48 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Okay, we're going to be trying to squeeze all of the details out of Jay Stevens, who is our KSL hockey insider, with the Utah Puck Report, because I wonder if they've decided yet on what they're going to do with the downtown area for, the new arena.
We are just waiting for the renderings. the official go ahead, like this is the plan, because there's so much excitement and energy behind this. We do know that hockey is going to happen at the Delta Center. What's surrounding it? Where are we going to grow into, and what's going to change here in Utah? That's the big question mark. We think we know. Jay, what's the latest? Like, what's going to happen?
We'll know for sure at 3:30 they're going to present at the city council. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to look at all the renderings. I saw some initial renderings, and I've also been talking to people outside of SEG that actually work.
The Smith Entertainment Group.
Yeah, the Smith Entertainment. But these sources are outside that group.
Okay.
That's the one good thing about also being a government employee is that I'm also around other government employees, and some of them are working with the Abravanel Hall thing. And I know I've seen a ton of people posting about, oh no, they're going to tear it down. They're going to make it, it's all about sports, but it's not.
The Utah Symphony plays there. Yeah,
every time you've listened to Ryan Smith talk, he talks like, I have a quote on my show. He said, we need more arts. We need more music. We need more entertainment downtown. We want to keep it all right downtown. So I know Abravanel Hall's had a ton of issues over the last, forever.
It's just older.
It's not ADA compliant. Elevators don't work in there. The ramps don't work. I've tried to take my 94-year-old grandfather to something there. We can't get to where he needs to sit. My father's an amputee. There's places he couldn't really get to either. So I think even if that building comes down, it's just going to come up with something newer and better for the same.
Much more updated.
But for the arts, it'll be the same thing. It just, and I get that there's tradition and there's history there, and we're not tearing it down for hockey. It's for everybody.
It may have to go anyway at some point. I mean,
it would have.
When you walk by that building, it's okay. It's not the most architecturally beautiful building in the city. I'll just say the quiet part out loud.
Okay.
Maybe inside, once you get inside,
is beautiful.
Inside is beautiful. I would agree with that. But on the outside, I think we could level that. We could level that place up in terms of Dave's laughing. Like, no, you think it's beautiful, Dave?
I had my senior prom there. So
a lot of us have great memories.
When you were walking up to it, did you think like, okay, yeah, this is the place?
I'm not an
once
architect.
You get inside,
what do I know?
It is beautiful, and I know there's a lot of concern, and we will follow that angle as well on the story over the days to come. But there's also been this so we don't know for sure yet what those renderings look like until 3:15 this afternoon.
Correct.
Is that the deal? Is that this big unveil or something?
Yeah,
okay.
I think we have a pretty good idea that they were going to be. If you look around and see what properties are owned by the church and what properties are owned by the city, because it's the city saying, hey, please don't leave downtown. Because Ryan has been quoted as saying, hey, where hockey goes, basketball goes.
Yeah.
And the initial plan was for him to take the team to Draper, build this amazing sports entertainment complex, and make it so that it's awesome and it's safe and that you want to get there at 5 o'clock and enjoy the entire night out. Well, people, I can't say who, but mainly because I don't remember everybody's names, but also probably because it's confidential. But there were people that came to him and said, wait, what if you take the Jazz out of downtown Salt Lake and there's not 40 nights of entertainment or 41 nights of entertainment downtown Salt Lake, then Salt Lake's going to squander. It's not going to be, it's going to be worse than it is now, but there's a chance to revitalize it if we do these things. So I think the church gave him some property, or there's some church property he can acquire. I think there's some city property he can acquire. And if you start looking around what's west of the Delta Center, what's east of the Delta Center, and then we're sitting over here in our building, and if you look across the street from our building, I see a big, huge open lot. And you could take all that and turn it into a nice, safe space with good restaurants, good shopping, good arts and entertainment, an updated Abravanel Hall, and all of that, and make it something for everybody and make it beautiful.
Part of what makes this so intriguing to me is not only do you get the 41 Jazz games every winter, fall, spring, but how many games does NHL play and how many home games? Same?
Yep.
So
82 games, so 41 home games. Our team's going to make the playoffs next year, so
We're that good already?
I'm saying we are.
See, I think
we missed badly this year, but that wasn't because of the team. That was because of the situation they were in.
Yeah, it's like I told my friends in Phoenix. I grew up there. I told my friends there, we'll take it from here.
Yeah,
we'll take it from here.
And that's an accurate statement.
They were in not a great situation, and they had a hard time for a number of years with the stadium or the arena situation there, much like what the Arizona Cardinals went through with the NFL. So we'll take it from here, and it sounds like we're on it, Jay.
Yeah,
It sounds like we're on it.
He's been handcuffed. The GM's been handcuffed. The coach has been handcuffed on what they could do and how many players they could have, or high value players they could have, and that's done now. And today we're going to find out what pick we're going to get in the draft, and that's huge. If we get the number 1 pick, like that's a generational player. That Macklin, he's amazing. So he's a 17-year-old phenom that could immediately have impact on the team. If we don't get that pick, we're going to have another top 10 pick that we could easily trade for some veteran leadership. There are a lot of unrestricted free agents that are coming out, so the team's going to be good.
It's so wild to hear you say we.
I know, it's so cool.
That's
why I
amazing.
say it every time like a little kid. We. It's us. It's us.
And that's
My
how
team.
it is. That's what happens here in Utah is we adopt these teams. We fall in love with them. I'll be honest, when Real Salt Lake first came here, I didn't think there was a chance that soccer would take off. I've never been more wrong. I didn't think Utah was a hockey town. I'm sure I'll never be more wrong again. I think it's an incredible change for the downtown area. You've got 82 nights where there's going to be major league sports. It's going to be huge, and they're going to make a $1 billion investment, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty incredible. We'll find out more today. Jay Stevens, thank you. We love tapping into this and talking some hockey.
Thank you.
Puck Report, KSL podcast. Great stuff, Jay. Keep us updated. If you know more, promise you can join us tomorrow and let us know what's going on with the